share the radio show so I can bring my dad on. Of course, everyone knows who Jeff is. Let's bring that back. Let's do the ticker. Okay, so guys, welcome to the live stream portion of the Hard Rock and Sports Show. Jeff Towinski, Tom Florio here, right, and also on the Blog Talk Radio Network. Yeah, there he is, Captain Happiness himself. Man was off for work today. He's got a new schedule working. I think he's pretty happy with. Jeff, how's the new schedule?
God, I fucking hate it.
Do you really?
4 10-hour days. I'm working 2 hours extra a day without getting overtime for it.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, but you get 3 days off.
Is nice.
Yeah, 3 days off is a good thing.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that works.
Yep. Jeff, we're going to now try to share in the Hard Rock and Sports Radio Show and see how that works. We tested this out the other night, and it did work, right, Jeff? I am not crazy. It did work.
It did work, yeah. But what did you able to get in touch with Tommy John? And
well, we sent the message out to Tommy John to ask him if he would come on the video portion. He did not answer, and I don't have a phone number for Tommy John. Thank you.
Oh boy,
I don't have a phone number. I sent out a message to Nikki today, and he has not responded. So right this second, I don't have a way to contact Tommy John. Thank you. So we'll see.
Nice.
We'll see how that goes. But let me try to get my dad on. Let's see if he can talk to us while we're here. Hey, Dad, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I hear you guys.
Okay.
You hear me?
Yep. You hear Jeff?
Jeff, I hear you.
How you doing, Mr. Florio? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
I can hear him, but he's very low.
Let me see if I can raise his volume up a little bit on that end. Dad, see if you can just talk a little louder, Pop.
Yeah, how's that?
Jeff?
It's still low, but it's not bad. It could be worse.
Okay, so let's Pop. Yeah, just so you know, we're on live video tonight as well. We're doing a live stream video. You know what, Pop? I'm gonna just I'm gonna keep talking, Dad. Jeff, I'm gonna take my father off. Dad, before I picked you up, did you hear Jeff?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe we don't have to do that, Dad. I'm gonna. So, Pop, what's on your mind, Jeff? I'm going to take my dad off the screen and see if that still works. So, give me a second. Okay, so, Pop, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Jeff, do you hear my dad?
I can hear him. No change in the volume, though.
Okay, but that's okay. That means I don't have to screen share it, which is a good thing. That means I don't have to broadcast Tommy John's phone number if I ever get it.
Oh, okay.
So, so that's the good news on that. So, hey, Pop, what's going on?
Not much. I'm just thinking of you guys the other day. I watched I think I told you, the ice game.
Oh, yes.
Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because they were talking to a lot of people. And there was a lot of things that happened in that game. Because that had to be the worst football game ever played. And I mean the conditions.
Yeah.
It was the temperature, not the mean temperature. The temperature itself was 17 degrees below zero. Wow. So that's got to be the coldest anybody's ever played, as far as I could tell.
Yeah,
I think I told you that they were saying they only blew the whistle in that game once because the whistle actually got stuck to the ref's lip.
Wow.
And when he pulled pulled skin off.
Wow.
So they never blew a whistle. But I watched the game again, and there were a lot of, why everything was so bad, and that I've never heard of a game played. I don't know if anybody should be able to play that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Jeff, do you think that games like that should even be allowed to be played? And by the way, Dad, Greg Towinski saying hello to he's listening and watching us actually.
Oh, okay. Tell Greg I said hello.
Oh, you just did. So, Jeff, what do you think? Do you think that games like that should even be allowed to be played?
That's a good question, man, because 17 below zero is mighty cold. You know what I mean? Think of what everything could happen. Fucking bodies could freeze.
Well, I mean, my dad was just saying that the referee had the whistle stick to his lips. I mean, that's cold.
Yeah, definitely is cold. But, nowadays they could work around that a little bit. They've probably got plastic whistles or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could work it out differently. But just the thoughts, the crowd, the players, the referee, everybody on the side, the amount of things that could possibly break. More things seem to break in the cold weather than the hot weather. I mean, share of things, and I'm talking like, the connections, for TV and radio and everything
sure.
else. It's a big thing. That could all go wrong and fuck up the whole entire game.
Yeah, I would say that the two games that stick out to me for the coldest games I've ever watched, now I'm sure that's the coldest game of all time, was the San Diego-Cincinnati game back in the 80s. That's about the coldest game, but I think the Giant Green Bay game from 2007 or 8 was probably the coldest I've ever seen a football game played. Now, that was played about 5 degrees below zero, but the wind chill was about 20 or 25 below zero. So, but that was actually a good football game. If you watch that game, there was good competitive football being played. You said it. That first Ice Bowl game, it was a bad football game.
Well, what part of it was Lombardi had put in a new field.
Mm-hmm.
He put heat in the bottom. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and so that the ground wouldn't freeze up. But somebody in their infinite wisdom decided to put top over it. So when the ground started to heat up, it had nowhere for the heat to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it just stood there, and it froze the whole. It was solid ice. He had a heat. They said Lombardi was having a fit. He was screaming all over the place because they wanted to know who was the jerk that covered the field. The field should have been left open and let the steam rise out.
Sure, let the heat come up. You know, but
it was a very interesting game. I mean, you guys were like 2 years old at the time.
Yeah.
But if you ever get a chance to see, you gotta watch. I mean, I give the players a lot of credit. I gotta tell you, I give the players a lot of credit. Because you're sitting in one spot.
Oh.
You got no heater.
Yeah.
You got no chance for anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. I mean, most people talk about the players and the coaches and the referees, Jeff, but nobody talks about the people. There's 60,000 people sitting in those stands. That's I'm sure there was a lot of vodka. I mean, a lot of warming spirits running around the stands, but still.
Of course there is, but you know what? 60,000 people all on top of one another too. So as much as it sucks, it's going to be cold.
Oh yeah,
don't get me wrong, but it's not as bad as it is down there on the field for the players. What games did you say? Do you remember being really cold?
It would have been the I think it's 82 San Diego Chargers at Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes. That was the one I was hoping. If I didn't hear what you said the first one, and then the Giants Green Bay. Yeah,
Giants Green Bay. I mean, I remember the 82 game, but I've watched a couple times the Giant game, and that was as cold. I mean, Coughlin's cheeks were bright red from basically frostbite. I mean, those were, but the technology, guys, is so much different now. They have, these huge heaters, heated benches, everything they have is insulated, gloves. It's a little easier. I mean, forget 82, go back to 67, Dad. Those guys barely had jackets to wear. Nobody wore gloves.
Yeah.
I mean, that was,
that was the Giants and Cowboys, right?
No, it was Cowboys Packers in Green Bay.
Cowboys Packers.
In
That
Green
was the Ice Bowl.
The Ice Bowl, yeah, the old Ice Bowl.
Yeah.
So interesting thing. I mean, I know my dad brought that up because this week, Jeff, I know you don't really pay much attention to TV. You're not a big TV guy, but the NFL Network had this thing. They have this thing called the Timeline, and it shows different things. And one of them is it's like little documentaries. One of them was on the Ice Bowl. There was another one about the Iran hostage back in '79. The Iran hostage taking, and there was a tape of the Super Bowl that was passed around, and that was one of the things that the prisoners talked about that kept them going was they were constantly listening to that game. And there's a bunch of different ones, and they're really good. Some of them I watched a couple this week. I taped a couple also, but those were two that stuck out for me, Pop. So I'm glad you brought that one up. That was a good one. And with the passing,
it was good. And then,
go ahead.
Did you notice today that the NFL released their schedule?
Well, 8 o'clock tonight, I think it's coming out.
No, they were giving it on the news. The Jets are playing, I think, September 23rd is the first game.
Oh, September 23rd?
And then I think it was on Bruce Beck, Channel 4.
I have to check that out.
He told you what the Giants are releasing single game tickets, but the Jets won't, not yet. But the first game, I think, I'm almost sure, I know it's in September. It might be. I'm almost sure it's the 23rd.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, yeah. Well, it's listen. Anything's possible. I know there was different scenarios because there's going to be no off season. They're going to start in July, hopefully. So I guess maybe they're giving a little extra time to get ready, and they'll start the season a little late. I heard a bunch of stuff today. They were going to try to play the season through to March. No bye weeks. I heard a whole bunch of stuff today, Jeff. I didn't see the schedule. It's supposed to be out officially 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, I heard some of the stuff that your father was talking about. I just finished eating dinner, but I had to come upstairs to get the computer on and everything and be ready for the show. But how about this? How about not doing the 17-week schedule? That's one thing. Forgetting the bye week. You know what? That would save 2 weeks right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe canceling the Pro Bowl.
Oh, yeah, that's that. Well, I would. Well, you know what, Jeff? That's kind of that's right before the Super Bowl. Well, here's the thing: do you like it better with the week between the Super Bowl, or do you like it with play the Super Bowl the following week? I kind of like the 2 weeks. But
why do we need 2 weeks at this point in time? With what's going on and everything, we don't need a 2-week lag between the end of the season and between the championship games and the Super Bowl. Just go right to the Super Bowl. You want to take a week off? That's fine, but we don't need to take 2 weeks off and just do away with the Pro Bowl. Nobody watches the Pro Bowl. It's a joke of a game. I can't bring myself to watch it. I don't know about you.
Let me tell you something. I think the last Pro Bowl game I watched, Phil Simms played quarterback. I refuse to watch it.
You're answering your own question right there.
No, but I don't care that they play that game. I just like the 2 weeks. I think it gives teams a chance to get healthy. It gives them a chance to get on the same page. And I think it makes for a more competitive game. I think it does a better job that way. You can play it, obviously. Teams do it every week. But to me, that extra week just allows the teams to be almost even when they get on the field. And that's what you want. You want that game to be played at 100%, almost 100%. And both teams, nobody having an advantage in any way.
Well, you got to remember something too. Remember years ago when the Pro Bowl was after the Super Bowl.
Correct. Absolutely. Sure.
So, it also didn't take 2 weeks between the AFC and NFC championship games and the Super Bowl. It was only a week. The only reason it's 2 weeks now is because the Pro Bowl is one of those weeks.
Yeah. No, I agree. Listen, I agree with you. We've got guys. We also tonight we're waiting on Frank Jeffrey. Is going to be calling in. Frank's one of our what Jeff and I call our NFL experts. He should be calling any minute, and we're going to discuss the passing of Don Shula at age 90. Some people will say he's the greatest coach of all time, 347 wins. I don't put him in that category. I think Don Shula was a great coach. Great ambassador of the football game. Guys, Dad, I'll ask you first. Any thoughts on Don Shula?
I thought he was a good coach. I don't get it. I hate getting into the greatest coach because he was it's like a jockey. If you ain't got the horse under you, you suck. Belichick, when he was with Cleveland, he sucked. He went to, New England, and he became a superstar. I mean, there's certain guys like, to me, the greatest coach I ever saw naturally was Vince Lombardi because he went from 2 teams that sucked and he made them into champions. He did it with Washington and he did it with Green Bay, and he was a great offensive coach with the Giants. It's very hard. It's hard to.
Listen. No, again, whether he's the greatest or not. Yeah, I mean, I think he was a good coach, Jeff. I think he obviously masterminded the last or maybe the only perfect team. We'll get more into it with Frankie when he comes on, Jeff. But I'll never be one guy who thinks that Miami team was the greatest team ever. Some people, especially obviously Dolphin fans, want to think that team because it was whatever it finished 17-0, 18-0. Was the greatest team of all time. I don't put them in that category, but then again, I didn't watch them play.
Listen, any team that goes undefeated is a good team, a great team.
Yep.
You don't just turn around and go undefeated because you were lucky and you happen to, squeak a few out. I don't know what their entire record was and what their schedule was and everything else. But, I mean, let's be honest, a team that goes undefeated goes undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people don't, and I hate to say this, don't give the Patriots enough credit.
Wow. Listen to that.
They did.
Really?
Only because they went all the way to the Super Bowl. And the Dolphins were what, 14-0 or something? Or 16-0?
I think it was 17-0. They played 14-game season, and then I think they won 2 playoff games in the Super Bowl. So I think it's 17-0.
Okay, so the Patriots had to play a 16-game season, and then another 2 or 3 games after that.
Correct. Yeah, they went 18-1.
Yeah, so they would have been what, 19-0? So they would have
went 19-0. Yes, they would have went 19-0 had they beat the Giants in the Super Bowl, which we all know they didn't do.
No, thanks to a lucky play, but that's another story. But the point is, they still went 18-1. You know, yeah, the Patriots, the Dolphins, would that Dolphin team have been able to go 18-1 or 19-0 at that point in time?
Yeah,
you know, modern day Patriots team.
Good question. I don't know. Hard Rocket Sports here. Jeff's clearing his throat. 347-826-9993 and 4. Talking on the live stream and the radio show. So the radio show is live right now. My dad's calling in on the radio show portion, and Jeff and I are live on both. I am on both, and Jeff is on the live stream, but he is communicating. So make sure you check us out. Either if you want to stare at our pretty faces. If not, go on to the radio side, and you can avoid seeing us. Again, Tommy John should be calling in at 7:45, although I don't have a phone number for Tommy John at this moment. And we got a lot of stuff to get to tonight. Again, we should be hearing from our good friend and NFL expert, Frank Jeffrey. In fact, I think Frank, that's not Frankie now. Oh, that might be Frankie on the line. So we'll get Frank on in a second. But
he's not coming in on the computer?
I asked him to, but I got a little bit of resistance on that one.
Why?
I do not know. He did not answer. I offered it to him, and he said that when I asked him, will he be coming on? He said yes on the radio. So, yep, that's Frank. He'll be on in a second or two. Pop, let me ask you that. I know that you've been real quick. Korean baseball. Have you watched a little of that on ESPN?
I can't watch it.
I watched it this morning. That it wasn't bad. I have to tell you, if you just want to watch a baseball game, it wasn't terrible. I watched about an inning or two because I was getting ready to. I actually had to go do something this morning, and I was up about 5, and the game was on. And I got to tell you guys, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible. I got to be honest.
How is do they do that wacky Asian wind up and everything?
Again, I only got to see about an inning or so. I didn't see anything crazy. Everything was. The only thing crazy was when the guy hit one. I think he got a hit and he kind of had a weird release of the bat. But other than that, I didn't notice anything different. So to me, it was good. It was good baseball, and it was nice to watch. And I got to tell you, you didn't miss the fans in the stadiums, Dad. That's the one thing I'll say. They kept all the shots tight, so you didn't really see anything that was empty seats. There were some shots.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to.
Yeah,
I tried watching it.
Oh, did you?
I saw a little boy walking in a balloon or something.
Yes, well, that's. I thought that was.
And I said, what the hell?
Well,
I said, I must be the wrong channel.
No, it was. Yeah, Jeff, you ever see those balls you can get inside and guys like roll around in them, or
Yeah.
So they actually put this little kid, he maybe 8 or 9 years old, in one of throlled or walked himself from the pitcher's mound to home plate and handed the catcher the ball. It's great.
The guy hit the ball.
I thought it was funny as heck. I mean, listen, it was cheesy. I get it. It was definitely cheesy, but it was all good. It was all good.
I want to let you guys go.
Thanks, Pops.
Back later. If Tommy John's on.
Yep, 7:45.
Tommy, take care. Have a good one. I'll talk to you later, Tommy.
You got it, Pops.
See you later, Mr. Florio.
That's my daddy. Checks in every week here at Hard Rock and Sports. Remember, we're here every Thursday night, 6:30 to 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. I think on Saturdays we're on Radical. The last 2 or 3 we haven't been, and I haven't heard much. So I will promote Radical, and hopefully we'll be back there this Saturday. But I do not know.
Have we been dropped? Have we been canceled?
No, I got a message that for 2 weeks they needed to do something else, and then I haven't heard from anybody since. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't know. We also, though, we do have a YouTube channel. If you go to Hard Rock and Sports Radio or the Hard Rocket Sports Show on YouTube, you'll find a whole. I keep uploading new videos. This show will be on there, and a new feature that I did some stuff with my brother. It's a promotional thing. The first one is kind of a prototype. I haven't showed it to Jeff. I just got it before the show. It really is pretty cool. It'll be a kind of a synopsis of each celebrity interview. It'll be Jeff and I interviewing on video. It'll be kind of just like a promotional thing. We did the first one. I did it just me and Richie just to get the first one done. I got to show it to Jeff, make sure he's good with it. We'll promote it on the YouTube channel, and then you'll start seeing those every week when we get a chance. So,
oh, God. Man, what a day today.
Yes.
I would have been better off if I went to work.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
What, working in the yard?
Yes. On the front of my house, there's 2 little grass hills. So there's ivy on the grass hills. So we wanted to rip the ivy out, right? But I was like, you know what? It's going to be a lot of work. I don't know if it's all worth it. So I was going to make a little retaining wall and level it off, okay? So I started with the retaining wall. So first I was like, okay, let's see what it looks like with, 2 levels. But because I had to bury the first brick down so far,
right,
it'll make it sturdy, I was like, okay, I got to go 3. So like I got like a third of it done. I'm going to need like it seems like almost 50 blocks.
Wow.
For this one wall, yeah.
That's great.
And, yeah, because I guess if I had went a little further in to the hill,
yeah,
it would have made the turn a little bit better. But the turn is kind of, like all of a sudden in one block it turns. So I was like, I don't know. We'll see.
If you need a hand, I am off tomorrow. If you need a hand, I'd be happy to come out and give you a buzz. So this weekend I'm home, so wife's working. If you need something, I'm around.
Well, listen, I mean, I don't expect you to come out here and help. We have to do our part and promote social distancing.
That is true, and we are social distancing. If you already can tell, we're not in the same house. Yeah. We are on Facebook at Hard Rock and Sports. Hard Rock and Sports Facebook page. So make sure you go to our Facebook page. You can watch the live stream. You can check us out on Blog Talk Radio, and of course, make sure you come back every Thursday night. Tonight is Tommy John, and next Thursday night, Damon Johnson. Then Lizzie, Black Star Riders, joins Jeff and I here at the Hard Rock and Sports Show. So make sure you come on back. Check out hardrocketsports.com for all of the upcoming show guests and special episodes. And I'm trying to think what else. Oh, Harry Carson down the line. Harry Carson has agreed to come on the show. Looking forward to Harry being on. And
I guess we can't get any jet.
Well, I have a connection for Todd Bowles. Does that interest you?
No, not really. Toilet bowls.
Let's so guys, make sure you check us all out. Come on back every Thursday night. We did some special shows. We still might do some, but looks like I'll be joining the ranks of the employed starting Monday. So
back to work.
Yeah, it looks like I'll be back to work Monday morning. I will be off next Thursday and Friday, so I might try to sneak an extra show in next Friday. I have already had plans. So when my bosses let us know.
So but you'll still be working. Your job is going to be working and everything.
Yeah. I'm back to work full time starting Monday. So that was the meeting I had today. Yeah. So listen, I was hoping for another full week off, but what the hell? Let's get back to the ranks of the employed. And
how many weeks did you have off?
6 weeks. I was off for 6 weeks. 2 sick and 4 weeks just sitting home hanging. So we're back. And
I don't know how I would have been able to go back so easy after that. Jesus Christ.
Thanks to Louis Pica. He wanted to remind us that Tommy John surgery was named after Tommy John. Thanks, Louis. I appreciate it. It's
that is an amazing fact. I don't know if Lou he's still on. I did a little research on that, and I could not find anything online that connected that surgery to actually Tommy John. So evidently, this was definitely a random naming, and it just so happened it was after Tommy John.
Yeah. So thanks to Lou for we have to thank Lou for the tremendous research he's doing out there for us.
Yeah, I don't know where he got that from, man. He must have spent days on that one.
Yes. So let's fly in our good buddy Frank Jeffrey. Let's get the banners up. The ticker on the bottom. Let's bring in our good friend Frank Jeffrey and talk a little bit about the passing of one Don Shula. Hey, Frankie boy.
Hey, Tommy, what's going on?
All good, Frank.
What's up, Frank? How are you?
Hey, Jeff. All right, I'll tell you a few things because I've been listening to your show. Thing number one, the Dolphins did win 19 in a row before losing to the Oakland Raiders in '73. So there's your answer to that. And the reason why I didn't go on the video conference is my headset was acting funky, and I was afraid you guys would get feedback. Like I couldn't really use the headset, so I'd have to use the mic on the cam, which would generate feedback to your show and wouldn't make a pleasant show.
Listen.
I did it for you guys.
We appreciate it, Frank, and we're glad you stopped in. Now, Jeff and I wanted to do a little something on Don Shula. I think it's important. I think this is a major figure in the ranks of the NFL, not just as a coach. He was also on the competition committee for a lot of years, and there's always going to be the debate. 347 wins, perfect team. So Frank, you're the resident Don Shula Miami Dolphin guy. Give us a minute or two on Don Shula. What's your thoughts? Where does he rank in the history of coaches? And to me, more important, where do you rank that perfect team? Most people forget about that team, early 70s. Give us a couple minutes on where you think him and those teams fall.
All right, so first, let's go with Don Shula. I mean, you're probably sick of hearing the story, Tom, because we've been friends since babies, and you've heard the story probably about 8 million times.
I have.
I became a Dolphin fan. My father's cousin married a Dolphin named Norm Evans. He was offensive tackle, and he was trying to do something, and my dad got some guys involved and helped him publish a book back in the 70s. And to thank my dad, he gave me 2 tickets to the Super Bowl where I met him, Don Shula, and a bunch of other Dolphins in 1972, the perfect game. So 7-year-old on the sideline, 72 Super Bowl, that ranks as high could be. Now, you got to remember, they lost to the Dallas in 71, and then they won again. So
yes.
They were in 3 in a row. And over that time period, their record over that time period was 33-3-1. So they didn't lose a lot of games, and the games they lost were very close. Like even the Raider game was like a 12-7 game. I mean, different era, that. They didn't score that much back then. So I don't think anybody's ever going to catch Don Shula, because even though they play more games now, like, remember something, when he first started coaching, they only played 12 games, and then they went to the 14-game season. So if he was coaching in a 16-game season with his winning percentage, he would have a lot more wins now than then. But that's neither here nor there. You'd have to get a guy that would coach for the next 33 years. That's what I'm saying. The next 33 years, you would have to get a coach that can win 12 games a year for the next 33 years to catch him.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff, its longevity is definitely something to marvel at. I think the guy staying around and was consistent. So I'll say that. But Frank, where do you rank him, Frankie?
I rank him as I really do him. I mean, if you want to put in Halas, I'm not going to exclude Belichick, even though I can't stand the Patriots.
Frank, I got to stop you right there. Frank, Bill Belichick is a fraud.
Not Curly Lambeau.
He's a fraud.
You got the Chuck Knowles, the Don Shula, the Halas, Belichick. I rank him right up there with all of them. I think he's the best because what tells me he was the best was the way the other coaches talked about him. Bum Phillips had the best saying about Don Shula after a game. Now, back then, remember, the Houston Oilers were pretty good. They had Earl Campbell, and they were pretty good, and Bum Phillips was the coach. And the Dolphins had their number. They kept beating them year after year after year. And this one particular game, Houston won. It was in Houston. They finally won. And they asked Bum Phillips, hey, we heard you don't really like Shula that much, or you and him don't get along or whatever. And there's some kind of rip between the two of you. There's something you dislike about him or whatever. And Bum Phillips turned to the reporter and says, you know what I dislike about Don Shula? What I dislike about Don Shula is he could take his team on Sunday and beat my team, and then take my team on the next Sunday and beat his team. He goes, that's what I don't like about Shula. He's that damn good.
Jeff, jump in, Jeff. I know you got something.
Yeah, Don Shula took a team. I just doing this is more as against Belichick. Okay, I know Tommy's a Belichick boy.
I am.
There's no reason to compare these two guys. There really isn't. It's not Don Shula's fault that he was coaching at a time for a while where they were only playing 14 games, so God knows how many other victories he would have had. He's just a phenomenal coach. Another one that lived in the AFC East, keeping the Jets down. I will say that much, but he's got to be one of, if not the best coach in the NFL, I feel.
Right. I totally agree. It's just the way he was. He was awesome. He was meticulous. He didn't, he loved the run, the ground and pound. That was the era he's from. He liked, with the Zonker and Jim Kick and the round and pound. He got Marino, and what did he do? He started throwing the ball like crazy. He started coming up with different ways to throw the ball. So he just played with his talent, and he was able to adjust to it and win, at every level. I mean, and then if you remember, even in the 70s when the Dolphins were really good with Shula, they would have won more Super Bowls. But you look at the good teams that were back there. I mean, that was the 70s, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Dallas Cowboys. Hate them too, but hey, I'll give them that as due. They were good back then. Even the Raiders. Look in the AFC with New England right now. I mean, Jeff, you can attest this too. The Dolphins have done nothing for the last 10, 15 years. The Jets have done nothing. The Bills have done nothing since Jim Kelly stopped being a quarterback. I mean,
it is what it is. It's not easy, not for nothing. I hate New England, but New England is a tough team. Belichick gets the best out of players. He always has, and it seems as though he always will. And me and Tommy have been talking all off season, who's going to quarterback for the Patriots come September. But Belichick doesn't seem to be worried. He knows something. He knows something that we don't. They're going to be a competitive team, the Patriots, unfortunately. Again.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Jeff. My statement wasn't a slight against Belichick. It's just what I'm saying is.
Oh, believe me, dude, I'm not sticking up for Belichick. You can slight him all day. We can both do that all day. That's fine with me.
6 wins every year.
Yeah.
Let me jump in there a second, guys. I gotta jump in for 1 second and just say, guys, don't forget we are going to be having Tommy John, the former pitcher of the New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers, the Angels, Cleveland Indians, Chicago White Sox, 7:45. I hope so. I got a lot of people tuning in for that. But I'm hoping Tommy John, this whole thing works out. I have not heard back from him in a little while, so I'm a little on the nervous side, but we'll see. But guys, every Thursday night, 6:30 to 9:30, right here at Hard Rocket Sports. Tonight on the live stream, we should be doing every week. So make sure you look us up on Facebook at hardrocketsports.com or go to the Hard Rocket Sports Facebook page every Thursday night around 7 o'clock, and you'll catch the live stream. The radio show goes on at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you'll get to see mine and Jeff's beautiful mug. Let's see. Let's talk about. We talked about Don Shula. Let's talk about that team, though, Jeff. I mean, how much credence do we give to that being the all-time team because they were perfect? And like Frank said, they won a few games the year before, the end next year. What kind of credence, guys, do we give?
They were in the Super Bowl against Cowboys the year before.
All right, listen, it's hard to knock it. I don't put them there because again, I never really saw them play. Live. So I'm always leery of that, Jeff. I always like to put the teams I got to see. Me, it's like 76 on is my Super Bowl window, Jeff. What's your thoughts on ranking on the Miami Dolphins of the early 70s?
Well, listen, while I understand your point, but I mean, not for nothing, that's almost like doing what the NFL did, and that nothing else happened until the Super Bowl happened. Like anything prior to the Super Bowl didn't happen, didn't count. So you really can't kind of be that way and say because you didn't see them, you can't say. But in this situation, the record speaks for it all. They went undefeated, and then New England was the next team that had the chance of being undefeated. And what was that? Almost 40 years or close to 35, 40 years it took before another team made it that far and almost was undefeated. So, it's 16 game season. Now a 17 game season. So they added 3 since that happened, but definitely not an easy feat by any chance. None at all. You know, so it says something. It's a record that's going to stand the test of time, without a doubt.
Oh,
it may never be broken.
That's a great question. I mean, it has lived for a long time. Now, is that tougher than the DiMaggio streak, 56 games? I mean, what's the toughest streak of all time, guys? I don't know. But, for football, only one team that I can think of has come close, Frankie. So, Jeff's right. I mean, that puts them in a special place.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it really does. It's like you said, there's only one team that came close, and thank God they didn't do it. And like I told Jeff at the start when I got on, the Dolphins went on to win 19 in a row. So they would have kept going. I don't think they would have had any problems going all the way to 19-0 if that was what they had to do. That was just a special team with the coach. It was special the way they were playing together back then. And like I said, and like I said, okay, so in 1971, Dolphins went to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Cowboys. Okay. Next year they go to the Super Bowl. Everybody knows, 17-0 team. Next year they beat the Minnesota Vikings. The next year they lose in the AFC Championship to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who wins the Super Bowl against Minnesota. And then the next year in 75, they lost to Pittsburgh in the first round. They didn't play them in the championship. They had to play them earlier. They lost to them who beat the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl. So you could see that stretch from 71 to almost 75. The Dolphins were just like New England now. You know what I mean?
Pretty much an elite team.
Yeah. I mean, but now let's talk about. I don't want to finish up. I don't want to get too far off with Don Shula, but I don't want to knock him. This isn't a knock, but he was gifted. To have 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks for the majority of his career. Unitas at first, and he even had Earl Morrall for a while on both the Colts and the Dolphins. Greasy, and then with a little leg in there, right up to Dan Marino. I mean, he was blessed, guys, with 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Yeah, but he drafted them.
Oh no! Listen, there's no doubt about it. No, I got it. But
well, I mean, outside of Unitas, he didn't draft Unitas, obviously.
Yeah,
but he drafted them.
Yeah, no, I agree, and Jeff. That again, there's something to be said. Here's a guy, Jeff, who let his quarterbacks. He never wore a headset. Let his quarterbacks call their own game. That's a whole different era.
You don't forget something too. Even though he drafted Dan Marino. Dan Marino only got to the playoffs, the Super Bowl once, actually, just the Super Bowl. He had a great career, but he was never able to take it to the next step. Shula never made it back to the Super Bowl either. So as great as Marino was, they never made it.
Yes.
Shula's been in 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah, 2 and 4. There's again.
Yeah, but 5 of them, he's been in 6, but he's been in 5 of them before Marino got there.
Correct. He was 2 and 4 in the 2.
He was in 4. He was with 2.
He was
Marino twice.
No, Marino only played in 1 Super Bowl. The first one was Woodley. Woodley or Strock was the first. Was the Washington?
You're right. I'm sorry.
That was 81, 81, I think it was, right?
When they lost to San Francisco.
No, when they lost to the Redskins. Marino lost to the 49ers in 84. Yeah, second season in, he went to Super Bowl, lost to the 49ers.
He went to the Super Bowl
second season, lost to the 49ers that year. So again, he went to Super Bowl 6 times with 4 different quarterbacks. I mean, again, nothing to knock Don Shula. We guys on the competition committee, made up all the rules. I mean, just a huge figure. And here's the thing: Belichick's the only guy close to catching him. He still needs 40 wins. Belichick would have to win 10 wins for the next 4 years.
50-something.
No, Belichick, I think, has 304. It's 347 to 304, if I'm not mistaken. So he needs 43 wins to catch him, which, Belichick's 67, 68 years old. Jeff, I don't know if he stays around long enough, if he wants to catch him. I don't think it's big on his thing. I think Belichick gets to second place and lives with it. But Frankie's right, Jeff. You'd have to start coaching now and coach an awful long time to catch Don Shula.
Of course, but let me ask you something. If even if Belichick ends up in second place, and once again, this kills me to give this man any kind of credit. You know that. But everything else that he's done, is he really second place? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it.
All it means is that it's like all he does is Shula has is the most coaching wins. That's it.
Yeah.
But overall, Belichick was unfortunately the better of the two.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. And, guys, Hard Rocket Sports, 347-826-9934. Call the number. Frank Jeffrey joins Tom Florio and my man Jeff Towinski right here talking a little Don Shula. And we're on till about 9:30 tonight. We're hoping and praying that we'll be joined by Tommy John in the next 10 minutes or so. We do have another guest lined up, I think about 8:15, Rhett Smith, a musician, for a couple of minutes. We'll join the two of us. And in between, we're going to talk a little bit about Stephen A. Smith. We're going to talk some documentaries. There's a Maguire Sosa documentary coming out, which I'm interested in. I want to talk to Jeff about Tony Iommi, talking about he wants to start maybe do some he's not opposed to doing some Sabbath shows. We'll also talk about the schedule, hopefully, when it comes out. And we're glad you guys are sticking around with us tonight and talking a little football. And Frank Jeffries giving us a little heads up on the passing of Don Shula. So, yeah. So, Frank,
the saddest day.
Well, listen. As life goes on, it takes more than it gives. So it took Don Shula from us, and. Listen, we're glad we had him. I think most people appreciate it. The guy was around forever. Here's the thing, guys. Will a coach ever be allowed to do that again? Is Belichick the last of a dying breed? Most guys now, if you don't win in 3 years, you're gone. Even if you win in 3 years, if 2 years later you're not winning, Frank, you're gone. I mean, so you don't get the opportunity to build a franchise and then let it run. I mean, Belichick may be the last of a dying breed, Frank.
I agree. I think Belichick is the last of a dying breed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying I don't think there's going to be anybody ever to catch Shula at this point. Because if you look at the top winningest coaches, you got Belichick. I know Pete Carroll's up there with over 100 and something wins, but he's way off. I think the next guy that I'm trying to think about, Andy Reid. I know he's over 200, but I don't know where he is over 200, to be honest with you, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I know he's in the top, he's up in the top 10 with over 200 wins. But you think Andy Reid's going to keep going for the next, let's say he has 200 even at this point. He needs 150 something wins. You think he's going to get that?
No, I don't think there's a current coach. There's not another current coach right now, Jeff, that I would put out there and say that they have the opportunity to even make that. Belichick's the last guy to get to 300, as far as I can tell you, Jeff.
Yeah, well, listen, I just figured out real quick. You would have to win 12 games a year for 25 years to hit 300. So you tell me, imagine winning 12 games, averaging 12 wins a year for 25 years just to hit 300 wins. And you're still not, what did Shula have, 347?
Shula 340, yeah.
30-something wins that you had. I think it was 30 or 33 years you had to win 12 games to catch Shula.
Yeah, it's insane. That's insane. And it's not like he went undefeated more than one season. He had went undefeated the one season. The guy just had great success and was a great coach.
Yeah, he had a lot of 1-loss and 2-loss seasons, a lot of them. And he only had 2 losing seasons his whole coaching career.
Yeah. Not easy.
Well,
not easy.
Here, let me give you the quick list. So of the active coaches, the only one over 200 wins is Andy Reid with 207, Frank. After that,
I knew he hit 200. I wasn't sure.
The next active coach, actually coaching right now, is Mike Tomlin at 133. Pete Carroll also 133.
Wow.
Pete Carroll's over 100.
Right? Yeah. And you know what the surprise?
Sean Payton's got to be right there too.
Sean Payton 131. So you're looking at these kind of guys, and you're saying to yourself,
guys that are like the only coaches I know that are over 100 is Sean Payton. We already talked about Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, Carroll. What's his name? Oh God, why am I losing his name?
Gruden has got 106.
McCarthy.
Well, no, Gruden's got 106. Mike McCarthy. Let's see where Mike McCarthy's at 125.
He's over 100.
Hmm?
Okay, I knew he was over 100.
Yeah, so those are really the only active guys right now. Gruden at 106 is from up the bottom of the thing, and John Harbaugh's got 118. So again, is there anybody in that crowd who's going to stay around another 30 years or let's say 20 something years to get another 200 wins? Averaging 10 a year, I don't see it. Not in this day and age, Jeff.
Some of those guys are in their 50s and older.
No way.
Yeah. So again, it is surprising. If you look at this list, there's some.
Going to break that record is not born yet.
You're probably right. I mean, maybe a guy getting in the league this year. Could they? A guy.
Yeah,
they're coming in younger and younger. So, but here's the thing, guys. Nobody keeps these guys around long enough to do that. You get 3 years, 4 tops, Jeff, and they're bouncing coaches out.
Yeah, it's 100% true.
Yeah, and some are not much.
Look at a guy like Rex Ryan and Todd Bowles, just 2 ex-Jet coaches, and Eric Mangini, just using them for examples. These are guys that played coached the Jets, and then that was it. They just kind of vanished. They're not head coaches anymore. And like you said, coaches like Landry, Shula, Chuck Noll, they would get those positions. They would hold them for years. They would actually be there for years. It's not the same anymore. You're not going to get these guys to ever have the longevity that Shula had or Belichick had. It's impossible. And even Pete Carroll. Frank, you mentioned Pete Carroll. But isn't Pete Carroll closing in on 70 also?
Pete Carroll's closing in on 70 right now. Yeah, if he's not 70, yeah. I agree.
So, how much longer is he actually going to be around to?
No. Right there. Again, Frankie's right. There's probably, unless it's one of these young guys, like a Joe Judge who's 38, maybe getting in now. I mean, but you're talking about averaging a lot of wins for a long time.
Not with that giant team. He ain't
Stop with your silliness already. Stop with your silliness. Super Bowl.
You're going to tell me that Joe Judge is going to be in the league for 30 years plus.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I think he's going to be successful. I'm just saying he's going to be successful. That's all.
But not with the Giants.
Okay.
Just for the record, I want everybody to know that we have a celebrity listening to the show tonight. We don't get a lot of celebrities listening, but tonight we actually have a celebrity listening in. One of my favorite guests of all time on the Hard Rock and Sports Show, Artie Buckles, our hockey maven, is actually taking some time out from his busy schedule to listen to the Hard Rock and Sports Show. So I want to throw a little shout out to Artie Buckles. Thanks for listening, buddy. And you owe me coming back on the show soon. We got to talk a little hockey. So I just want to get a little shout out to Buckles and say thanks for listening. But we're still hoping and praying for Tommy John. I don't. Yes, Frank.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay, no, that's it. Go, Frank.
So the Dolphins schedule. We're hoping on Twitter. They play their first game in New England. They play the second game in Miami against Buffalo. And they're playing their third game in Jacksonville. And then Seattle at home. They're at San Francisco. They got a tough schedule for a team that didn't do that well.
End up with a tough schedule. Well, here's the thing. Here's the problem, guys. And we're filling a little time here. I'm still praying at this point, so guys, don't get mad at me. But we're still hoping for Tommy John. I sent out an email to his people a few minutes ago because I'm still, anyway. What I do want to say is, here's a tough part for a team like the Dolphins. So the Dolphins went for it this year. They were 5 wins last year. They get 14 or whatever it is picks in the draft, and they're putting together a good team. The problem is this: no offseason, no OTAs, no rookie mini camps, no veteran mini camps. You're going to walk in July and have to put a team together. I think the Dolphins would have had a much better season. They still might. But you're asking
I know that's going to be tough.
You're asking a team that brought in a lot of free agents, a lot of draft picks, and now you're going to try to mesh this and make this team grow. I'm not telling you that it can't happen, but I think it's going to be a little tougher. It's even worse now on teams like the Giants, the Panthers, teams that have new coaches, Jeff. I think it becomes even tougher because you did all these wonderful things, but you can't put it together until you're under the gun. And, Jeff, that's a tough thing to do.
Right.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to do, but you know what? These teams that hire these coaches that aren't able to get with their teams have to get a little leeway. They have to. Everybody has to understand this isn't something that, you know, it was bad weather, that, you know, they couldn't practice because it was cold, or they couldn't practice, it was raining, whatever. It's a pandemic, and it's globally affecting the globe, the entire world's population. So they have to give these coaches a little bit of leeway, don't you think? Maybe this year, not wipe it out, but just like, you know, all right, so this year we're gonna disregard this year. You got a freebie, but you know, you gotta do good. You gotta show us that you're gonna be able to do better next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Frank, you've coached in the past. You know, how hard is it going to be for this Dolphin team or any team this year with a lot of new players or new coaching staff to try to compete with teams like the Saints or the Packers, who have a good portion of their team coming back this year?
Any team, like you said, like the Saints, the Packers, even like the Cowboys, this is going to be beneficial to them because, like you said, they've had basically the same team in place from last year. A couple minor adjustments here and there, obviously draft picks, so on and so forth. So, but everything in football is preparations, tendencies, and learning what you guys can do. Learning not only learning what your opponent can do, but learning what your players can do in a limitation, how to push them, how to drive them, how to get the best out of them. There's a lot that goes into, you know, Tom, there's a lot that goes into that. So it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, no.
What I want everybody to do is circle your calendar for December 6th. You could possibly see Tua versus Burrows. The Dolphins play the Bengals on December 6th.
Wow, that could be the lowly bowl at this point. We'll see.
The lonely bowl.
It could be the lonely bowl.
But at least you'll see Tua versus
Could also be the toilet bowl, Jeff. Could be the toilet bowl that day.
Yeah,
it's possible, but let me ask you something. Who's the quarterback that you think is going to jump out of the gate first?
Wow,
I think Burrow is going to establish himself as an NFL quarterback before Tua does.
I would say,
because, like you said, with go ahead, Tom.
No, go, Frank. Go ahead, go.
I was going to say definitely Burrows for a couple of reasons. One, I think the Dolphins are, because they didn't do anything with Josh Rosen, it's telling me they might hold on to him this year, maybe move him later, like mid-season if a quarterback goes down or something, and see how Tua is. I think the Dolphins are going to start Fitzmagic and let Tua kind of ease his way in. And because, like I said, different animal this year. He doesn't have a preseason to see if that hits really well and, you know, to do all of that stuff, to test out his limitations. So they're going to go with what they know and let Tua ease his way in. You might not see Tua till after, who knows, week 5, 6, I don't know. Depends on when they feel comfortable with what they see.
Yeah, I think it's even more delayed this year. I think he would have had a half a chance to be the opening day starting quarterback. Not, you know, if he's healthy, Jeff. I think now though with the way this thing is playing out, he's going to have a really hard chance getting on the field at all, if not till late in the year. You know, just trying to.
I agree.
They know what they had in Fitzpatrick, and Fitzpatrick always seems to start off good, and then all of a sudden he just falls off the edge. So I think you're going to see Fitzpatrick play until he just goes right off the cliff, and then they'll put Tua in or Rosen or somebody else, whoever is on the roster at that point in time. But the longer they hold Tua out, the more beneficial it is for him and that team, because it's more healing time for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you would want Fitzpatrick to play as well as he can for as long as he can, I think.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Frank, we're going to bring you back in a few weeks once the schedules are out. I guess they're out now. We analyzed them a little bit. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll come back and we'll invite Matt on, and maybe we'll get you headsets all set up, and we'll get you on the live stream, and we'll talk a little bit about the season. Absolutely. And once we know what's going on, we'll talk a little Yankee baseball. But Frank, I want to thank you so much for, as usual, coming through and helping out, and you know, giving us some of your time. But thanks for helping out with the Don Shula stuff.
You got it, buddy. Thanks for having me. You guys have a good night.
All right, Frank. That's Frank Jeffrey, everybody. Guy I would credit with teaching me a lot about the game of football back in the day. One of the brighter guys in growing up on the aspects of pro football, Jeff. So, but you know, Hard Rocket Sports 347-826-9934 is the radio side, and if you're here at hardrocketsports.com on the Facebook page, you're watching Jeff and I on a live stream. And we're hoping and praying for Tommy John, but we're not going to let that stop us, Jeff. We're going to keep going and talk a little bit about your man, Stephen A. Smith.
Perfect. Man, he's a fucking idiot. He really is. He said something else stupid today. I forget what it was. Did you see it?
I don't like Stephen A. Smith. I don't. I think he's a blowhard. I think he's got very little knowledge. He's all about dramatics and the way he speaks, and he talks like he's knowledgeable. He actually knows nothing. I don't even know if he knows anything about sports. To be honest, I don't think he even watches sports. Well, so I don't pay attention. The only time I know is when you send me stuff.
I just pulled it up real quick because I knew it was something stupid, and I didn't want to. I was going to send it to you, but I just didn't want to get too involved in it. But just to show my point,
okay,
why Stephen A. gives Scotty more credit than Phil for MJ's success.
Oh God!
Well, I knew the answer to that. That's because Scotty is black and Phil Jackson is white.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith is one of the biggest racist people that I've ever seen. Blatantly racist. The way that he says things, conducts himself, I just do not like him. You know, just that little snippet with Michael Jordan. Okay. Now, Jordan had Pippen. He had several other fucking cast members behind him on those Bulls teams that helped him get to the point where he was. But does Michael Jordan win without Scottie Pippen? I would say absolutely. I really think so. Well, I think there's more talent behind Scottie that would have helped Michael Jordan win. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Listen, Scottie Pippen was a very good player, probably a great player, behind the greatest player of all time. They may be the best duo of all time, in my opinion. Could Michael have won without him? Well, he didn't. So that's a tough one. That's a tough part.
Well, when did he? When he went to the Washington Wizards?
No, even before, because don't forget, Scottie came up a few years after Jordan. So Jordan didn't win his first one until Scottie was already on the team. So
how many years difference was there?
I want to say 4 or 5. I want to say Jordan came up in 84, and I think Scottie was late 80s, 88, 89. I have to check on that, but you know, Stephen A.
Michael Jordan was not known as one of the best, if not the greatest basketball player by the time Scottie Pippen came up, was he?
Yeah, he was already the greatest player of all time. I won't say of all time. He was already the best player in the league at that point. So listen, Michael Jordan has given a lot of credit. In fact, Michael Jordan retired when the Bulls didn't bring back Phil Jackson. So I think Michael himself put a lot of emphasis on the success of the Bulls and his success because of Phil Jackson. Now, Michael was already the best player in the NBA by the time Phil Jackson got there. He just took it to another level, and he built a team that Jordan won 3 in a row twice. So I think it's a little I get what he's saying, but I do not agree. So I do not agree with him and his. It's hard for me, Jeff. I don't know which one is the chicken or the egg. I think Pippen helped Jordan. I don't know if Jordan would have won 6 without Pippen. I don't know if anybody else out there agrees or disagrees.
I think with the rest of the team that he had behind him, he would have done it.
Well,
but I don't think that Scottie Pippen was that instrumental in winning 6. Because did Scottie win anything without Michael?
No, the one year Michael left in '94, when in fact Scottie Pippen was a pain in the ass, and that was the whole he wouldn't come into the game because they called the play for Kukoc in the playoffs. So no, the one year he went to the playoffs but did not win without Michael. So I think Scottie Pippen was a great number 2 guy. He could never and was never a great number 1 guy. But I do want to talk about Stephen A. Smith and what we talked about this week with the Cam Newton thing, and it's up on the screen. And it was completely idiotic, and I'll tell you why. This is a quote. His success, this is Stephen A. Smith talking about Cam Newton and why he should not accept a backup role on any team. His success was not predicated on throwing the ball accurately. He was not significantly accurate. What does that mean? So you have a quarterback who's the main part of your thing, who, by the way, only had 1 or 2 years I think in his whole career, over 60%, which Stephen A. Smith said doesn't matter. It's better because the Chargers, who had Phillip Rivers and was stuck with Phillip Rivers, should take Cam Newton on because Cam can run the football. Can I remind Stephen A. Smith that since the Super Bowl year, his teams have gone 6-8, 11-5, 6-8, and he was 0-2 before he got hurt last year. Cam Newton's days are over. He's a locker room problem. His attitude or his demeanor after their loss to the Super Bowl set him back with not only his own teammates but the rest of the league. I'll be surprised if anybody picks him up before a quarterback gets hurt, Jeff. I think again, another guy who Stephen Smith, another topic he knows nothing about.
Well, Stephen Smith, I mean, first of all, how stupid could you be? First of all, Cam Newton was basically out of football last year.
Yes.
Okay, due to injury. He didn't play. He was out most of the year. Now he's without a team. Okay, everything you said, the numbers prove that. Ever since his last run at the Super Bowl against Denver, his teams haven't done that good. So sit out the year. Makes total sense. This year where you get another year of rust on you, another year that people forget about you, all of this stuff. Okay, so yes, I got to say it makes a lot of sense what Stephen A. Smith is saying. I would tell him the same thing. You're better off staying, maybe even take the year after that off too, just to prove your point. Yeah. Now, in the real world, where Stephen A. Smith is not, okay, Cam Newton should grab on with anybody that there is. Okay, it worked for Teddy Bridgewater. Sign a 1-year deal. You don't have to sign more than that. Sign a 1-year deal to see where you can now go out, prove yourself, show everybody that the last couple of years have been a fluke. You're still young enough to do that. You still got plenty of time with your career to do that. Do what you need to do to show everybody that you're going to be back in the game. You're going to be a good teammate. You're going to be able to play. You're going to be a productive, member on the team. And by listening to Stephen A. Smith, are you fucking kidding me? That makes no sense. All that is look what happened to Colin Kaepernick. Has anybody even mentioned the name Colin Kaepernick in the last couple months? That's how moot he's become because he turned around and he voided his contract and voided out the last couple years. So look what happened. So Cam, think about what Colin did before you do it. Think about it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's just dumb. You missed a whole season, and to not go on and jump on a roster, even in a backup role, makes zero sense to me. But that's just Stephen A. Smith. I mean, it's not about giving people legitimate, logical reasons for things. It's about creating controversy with him. And again, if you're Cam Newton, do you want to go on to a team where you have no chance to start? But we talked about it off the air the other day, Jeff. Give me the spot where you think Cam Newton could come in and at least compete for a spot. Forget about being able to go in there and being better than the guy ahead of him. Tell me the team that he can even compete for a job.
New England.
Yeah, I mean, other than that.
And actually, to tell you the truth, check this out. Tell me what you think of this. New England, San Diego, okay? There's a spot that needs a quarterback. The New York Giants, a veteran presence behind Daniel Jones. The New York Jets, a veteran presence behind Sam Darnold. I don't know who the backup is or the second or third stringer is up in Buffalo. I don't know if there's a spot for him maybe up there behind another young quarterback. So, you know what? There is a couple teams all back up.
Okay, so I think Tommy John has shown up. I'm okay. Didn't know that was him. So let's switch things up. Hard Rocket Sports 347-826-993 and 4. We got Tommy John hanging on the line. We apologize for keeping him there. He is now on the show. Mr. John, are you there?
Yeah, this isn't Tommy. This is Stephen A. Smith.
I hope not. It would not be we will not be getting a good Christmas card this year from Stephen A. Smith here at the Hard Rocket Sports Show, Mr. John.
Well, you know the thing about it. He doesn't know squat about anything about sports.
Very smart. Yeah.
Just heard that.
And he's very intelligent. And what have you guys been doing for the last 20 minutes? Raking over Stephen A. Smith. He gets you to do what he wants you to do. Talk about him and talk about his show. How much he knows about the game of football or baseball or any of that, it means nothing.
Yeah, and that's with every sport. But you're right. That's why he makes a lot of money. And Jeff and I do shows on Thursday night, and he gets you talking about what he says, and what he says is dumb. That's the problem. But you didn't call in to talk about Stephen A. Smith, but we certainly appreciate you calling in and being patient. I saw your number up there, and I didn't know it was you. Nobody had given me the phone number, so I appreciate you hanging in there for us.
Oh, that's okay. You know, when you're 77 years old and it's 111 out here in Palm Springs, you'll sit and listen to a radio show on your telephone.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, sir. Listen, let's get into a little bit with you, if you don't mind. So, first off, how are you doing during this crazy time? What are you doing to keep yourself busy? You seem to be a guy who normally is out and about in golf and managing and baseball. What are you doing during this crazy time?
Out and about playing golf.
Oh, okay. So
here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Our club that we play, we have to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And if you listen to the scientists and Fauci and Birx and all those people, the virus dies in hot weather, hot air.
Yes.
Well, it's 111 out here. You mean to tell me that virus is going to be around now? One of the other golf courses said you don't have to wear a mask when you play golf, but when you get on the putting green, you got to wear a mask.
That's interesting.
And it's just nobody knows squat about what to do. Open it back up. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Open the businesses up and let's get things going. And it's just my son is huge on this, and this thing is your immune system will end all pandemics. It'll kill all this stuff. But and the people whose immune systems are not real good, they're the ones that get the virus and die. But if you've got a good immune system, you may get the virus, but you kick it out, And I just think that a lot of the stuff that is out there is mainly BS.
Well, yeah. I agree. Listen, now I will tell you that I had the coronavirus and I was off my feet for 2 weeks with it. But I agree with you. I think the majority of people out there will get it, not know they even had it, or get it through their system pretty quick. And yeah, we need to get it. And I think it's a little overblown. And I think it is time to certainly get back out there and start opening up businesses and let people earn a living and get this country back to normal.
Exactly. Yeah, I just got a thing on an email from a friend of mine who owns a summer college baseball team up in Little Falls, New York, the Mohawk Valley Diamond Dogs, and they canceled their season, the whole thing, because of this. So now you've got college ball players that want to go and play and try to get better are not going to be able to play because they had to shut the season down.
Yeah, and I think that's I think the problem is like this: nobody really knows, and everybody's afraid to make the first move. And I'm hoping it's Major League Baseball that does it. And let's get onto this and start seeing some people back in the stands. But I want to see baseball, I want to see football, and I want to get it going. But I want to ask you about baseball. And Jeff's got some stuff for you. What I want to ask you is, the game is different today. That I'm 52, going to be 53. It's different from when I woke, from when I started watching and playing as a kid. Do you like the game today? Do you like the no hard slide in the second, the no barreling into the catcher. Do you like all this changes in baseball? Do you like the way the game's played today?
I don't watch it.
Really? Wow.
It's not the game I played. And I started out when I was 7, 8 years old, or 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and you play the game. You barrel into the catcher, you hit the second baseman or shortstop sliding. Now, you hit him, that's a foul on you. We've got all this, and then he's going to have 100 pitches today. We got to take him out. Well, there were some games, and I guarantee you there were games that I had 100 pitches in the third inning.
Yeah.
And fourth inning, and they kept me in, and I got better and better and better. I remember a game in Boston, the first 4 innings of the ball game. God, I had runners on base, and I would get out with a line drive to the shortstop. It would knock over the shortstop. And then as the game got on, I got better and better and better. And I pitched 9 innings. And the last 5 innings, I didn't get a guy on base. The way it's played now, my pitch count would have run out, and they would have had. I just think that they've got a lot of people running the game of baseball that don't know the game of baseball, but they know the statistics of baseball. Well, and, not saying that's bad or whatever, but the game has been around so long. Play the game. Play the game. Play it.
Well, I think that's part of the problem. There's 2 problems that I have with baseball today, and I love the game still, and we watch it, but it's a much different game. And maybe you haven't watched it and you don't notice it, but to me, fundamentals are gone. Teams don't hit and run anymore. Teams don't bunt runners over anymore. The stolen base is a lost art today. The fundamentals, and I'll tell you one. There was a game a couple of years ago with the Mets. Dominic Smith is a kind of a part-time player for the New York Mets. Was up in a big spot. He didn't bunt. The Mets go on to lose, and at the end of the game, they're interviewing the manager, and they said to him, I think it was Terry Collins. They said, Terry, what, you had an obvious bunt spot. You didn't do it. What, why? What were you thinking there? Were you playing for the home run? And he said, Dominic Smith has never bunted in his entire career, in his entire life. And I said to myself, that's, what happened? Little League, Legion Ball, high school, college.
I managed in the minor league, and I managed in independent ball. And when I managed in independent ball, I wouldn't bunt for the first 3 innings. And I wanted to see how the game was. If it's a close game, nothing. Now maybe you hit and run, you bunt a guy over. But the thinking is this: if you bunt 3 times a game, you're going to hit 1 inning less because you've made 3 outs.
Wow.
And they want the managerial mentality is they want their hitters to swing the bats. And I know when I was pitching coach for the Expos, I was pitching coach up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And I would throw bunting practice to our pitchers. What are we going to do this for? I said, well, you might be in a ball game where you get a bunt, and you might get to the big leagues and you may have to bunt. I want you to be able to bunt the ball. And the other thing I tried to get my pitchers to do, if you hit a ground ball to the third baseman, shortstop, second baseman, you run your butt off to first base. Well, why? I'm going to save energy. Come on. I said, you can't run 90 feet and then go back out there and pitch. If you can't, we've got to change your running program because you're not running enough, and we won a ball game one time because our pitcher hit the ball to the right of the shortstop, and he had to do a crossover move, and he ran his butt off, and he kind of hesitated on the throw, and he threw it wide at first base. We ended up scoring 3 runs that inning because the pitcher ran hard to first base.
Wow,
That's the way I was.
Well, I was just going to say, then we're talking with a former Major League pitcher, Tommy John, here at the Hard Rock and Sports Show, 347-826-9934. Also on the live stream on Hard Rock and Sports on Facebook. Thanks for everybody tuning in and joining us to tonight's show. I read your book, TJ, My 26 Years in Baseball, a long time ago, and I reread a good portion of it this week. I wanted to kind of go back and kind of give myself some recollections. And, that was a big part of your, especially the last year in '89 when you were trying to kind of force Dallas Green's hand. But through your career, being in shape and hustling and all those guys, when did it change in baseball? When was that change where, conditioning maybe or doing drills and fundamentals kind of went away? Because, it seemed like it was all part of that early part of your career. And then it seemed like somewhere later on, it wasn't as prevalent anymore. When was that change, and why was that change?
That change happened when the pitchers started making a ton of money, and they started telling the ball club how they were going to train. I was a guest coach for the Yankees in spring training, and it was in the latter 90s, whenever Mussina was there. So I'm out on the third field, and the physical fitness coach, okay, guys, let's go. We're gonna, and they're running, and he's throwing the balls to them, and they ran like 6 of them. Okay, guys, good job. And I said, what? I said, they're done after this amount? He said, Tommy, it's changed. Well, it's changed because ball clubs have let it change. They've let the workers tell the bosses how they're going to work and what they're going to do. Like Mike Mussina had his own workout guy. He had his workout, his throwing program, the pitching coach. They have nothing more to do with anything. It's just, the whole thing has changed when the players started running the asylum.
Well, do you think that, and I'm sure as a player, the money aspect of it was great, but do you think free agency to a certain extent killed baseball in that sense, that maybe the players now had more leverage, and now the impetus on training, conditioning, or just doing fundamentals kind of hurt the game? Was free agency kind of a way, kind of something that hurt baseball in that sense?
Yeah, a little, but it was when the players said, a player, I'm not doing it. I've got my own workout program. I do that. And the ball club says, okay. Oh,
right.
God,
but
if that would have happened when I was with the Yankees, Steinbrenner would have choked somebody.
But my point is, if you think back to, I think it was in 61 or 62, the Indians wanted you to go to Puerto Rico to play winter ball, and you didn't want to go. And I think it was the year after you had hurt your elbow, and you didn't want to go back. And I don't know if it was Short or one of those guys said, well, if you don't do it, we're going to bury you, and you're never going to see the light of day. And you went, okay. So to me, that you had no leverage then.
Yeah, I was with the White Sox.
Okay.
With the White Sox, 1965.
Okay.
And they wanted me to go down there and work on my curveball. Well, that was the one thing that I had that was good.
Mm-hmm.
And their excuse was, we want you to work on off-speed pitches. And we're going to bring a guy in, and they brought some Puerto Rican pitcher that the White Sox had. I don't know who it was, but And he did. He said, if you don't go, I'll bury you so deep you'll never see light of day. And I told him, I said, Ed, stubborn I am, dumb I'm not. I'll go. So the minute I got into Puerto Rico and I landed in San Juan, I walked over and I bought my ticket home. And I knew when I was going to leave. And because I did not want to be there, but I pitched. I told myself, I said, okay, what's the quickest way out of here? Get hit. Boy, they just ripped the ball all over the ballpark. So I said, okay. I went down there, and the first 3 games I pitched, I threw not even batting practice speed. In fact, I had some scouts up there said, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? And they said, you just look like you're just flipping the ball up to the plate. I said, I am. And I had something like 19 scoreless innings. And I'm trying to get hit. Then I had one game that I did get hit. One game I came back. And the 6th game I pitched, I came out of the game with a sore elbow. It wasn't sore, but I had to do something. And then they sent me back home to Terre Haute, Indiana, and then I went over to St. Louis, and I met with the St. Louis pitching orthopedic and the St. Louis Cardinal trainer, and they gave me a bunch of workouts and stuff. And I went back home and I said, the trainer of our team called me. He said, how you feeling? I said, it's really funny. When I walked off that plane in Terre Haute and I saw my mom and dad and I hugged them, kissed them, I said, my elbow magically became well. I said, God, it's perfect now. And he laughed. He knew what I did.
Yeah.
They couldn't do anything about it.
That's funny. It's again, Tommy John joins Jeff and myself here at Hard Rockin' Sports, 347-826-9934 here every Thursday night, 6:30 to 9:30 here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, and of course on the live stream on Hard Rockin' Sports Facebook page. Make sure you come back every Thursday night for more, and check out hardrockinsports.com for more information on upcoming guests and special shows coming in the future. Before we get to the jump to the Yankee years, because I don't know how long I have you, and Jeff and I have a ton of Yankee. I'm sure we have a lot of questions about that era, because that's our.
You got me all night. We got a pizza, and all we got to do is just heat it up, and I'm fine.
Nice. Okay. So, but I do want to ask you, you got traded from the Indians to the White Sox, and the Indians struggled in those years. And there was one point that I don't know if you guys were all on the same team, but you weren't all in the same system. It was you, Louis Tiant, Mike Cuellar, Sam McDowell. I think there might have been a 5th guy. And how you guys all didn't wind up on that team and make that, if that had ever been a rotation, it might have been one of the best in history. I mean, amazing.
It was in '64 when Cleveland sent me down. They brought Tiant up. Louis was like 15-2.
Yes.
In AAA ball, and he was still pitching down there. I mean,
wow.
That would never have happened now. And I told him, I said, if I hadn't have pitched so bad, I said, your fat butt would have still been in Portland, Oregon. And he laughed and he said, probably. But we had McDowell, Tiant, myself, Sonny Siebert, George Culver. I'm trying to think who else, and then whoever they had on the big league ball club. But we had good arms. Cleveland went out and signed good arms.
Yeah.
And it's a gamble. You go out and you sign these guys that look like that they can pitch, and they either get better or they don't. If they don't, they're home selling used cars. But if they do, they're pitching in the major leagues.
Yeah, absolutely. Good, Jeff.
Tommy, I got a question for you. How did it feel to go from the Dodgers over to the Yankees 1 year after losing to them in the World Series. Was it disheartening at all or were you excited? What was your mindset during that time?
I was a free agent, and all I wanted was a 3-year contract with the Dodgers. And Al Campana said, Tommy, I was a PE major at NYU when I went to college. I know I had the same courses that Dr. Jobe has. I know the body as well as Dr. Jobe does. Your arm will not be sound for the 3rd year. I can't give it to you. And I told my agent, it's a guy on the West Coast named Bob Cohen, and I said, good, then find me a ball club. And that was free agency then, was not really free agency. You had to be drafted by a team. If you weren't drafted by a team, you couldn't talk to them about signing. And I was drafted by, I think, 12 or 13 teams. And George Steinbrenner offered me the best money. And okay. And the 3rd year of the contract. In fact, the 3rd year I'm pitching and, for the Yankees, and one of the guys that was in the Dodger front office, his name was Bill Schumard. He comes up and he said, this is the most important year of your life in baseball. I said, what? He said, this is the most important year in your life. And I said, what are you talking about? Well, this is the year that you're going to break down. And he said, that's what Campana said. And then I started laughing. I said, oh yeah. Well. And here's when I came back from my surgery in 1966 or 76.
Mm-hmm.
No, I had the surgery in 74.
Right. You were out 75.
And I came back in 76.
Mm-hmm.
I was out all of 75, 76 until I quit in 1989. So that's 13 seasons. I never missed a start.
Yeah, and what's amazing, if you I mean, I'm sure you remember, but from 77 you won 20 games, 78 you won 17 games, 79 you won 21 games, and 80 you won 22 games. I mean, after that surgery, you had 4 amazing seasons. And probably would have had the same thing in 81 had it not been the strike shortened season. I mean, guys come back today after a year and a half and struggle for a while. You have the first ever surgery. You missed 75. You worked with Mike Marshall, who was amazing, I guess. And
No.
No?
I never worked with Mike Marshall ever.
Really?
Ever. I know he says it.
But
and I let him say it because Mike's a good guy and I like him and all that. He never did anything to me.
Really?
For me.
It's in you. It's in your book. It's in your book. That's the funny part.
Well, if it's you can't believe in sports books.
Okay. But anyway, so 75, you're out. You come back in 76, and then you have a run of 4 great seasons. And after that, I think you won 164 of your wins were after the surgery of 288. I mean, that's I mean, you were obviously in tremendous shape, but what do you attribute that to?
I pitched good. I had good control. I got my curveball over the plate. And when I signed with the Yankees, I called up Tom Paciorek. And I think Tom was playing with Milwaukee then. And I asked him, I said, who's got the best infield in the American League? Because I didn't know. And he said, well, we've got a good one here with Milwaukee. But he said, probably the best is the Yankees with Chambliss, Randolph, Dent, and Nettles.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, all right. And that was the one thing I told my agent. I said, if I want to sign someplace, I want to have guys that can catch my ground balls. And those guys did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But now that team changed a little bit. But I want to get to the 81 World Series. Again, Tommy John joins Jeff and myself here at Hard Rocket Sports. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Ton of people listening on the Hard Rocket Sports live feed. So thanks to everybody there. And, of course, everybody listening on the radio side. Thank you very much. I got to ask you about the 81 World Series. And you got to, I hope you remember this, but why? I'm sure you got to remember this. Why did Lemon take you out in was it game 4? Which game was it? Game 4,
we got that saved. That ball game has been on the Dodger baseball channel out here in California, and we taped it on our machine, and it's sitting there, and it's on my girlfriend's Facebook, and George Steinbrenner was a football man.
Yep.
Before every game, he had a meeting with his manager, coaches, and scouts about the game plan for that game coming up. Well, in baseball, there is no game plan because the game plan is, you may say, okay, we're going to bunt, we're going to try to get 1 run, but your pitcher gives up 8 runs. And you're down 8-0, you can't play for 1 run. You got to play for 9 runs. So there is no game plan. The game itself is the game plan. But that night, Steinbrenner had a meeting, and the reason I know this, the Yankees had a guy, an eye in the sky, that did all the stuff of where they hit the ball and where the guys were playing, and if we should be shading the hitter over in left field or whatever. His name was Doug Melvin. And he became the Baltimore Orioles general manager.
Yep.
And he told me, George said, get a lead early and then go to the bullpen and win it out of the bullpen. Well, we were up 1-0, and we were in the bottom of the 4th inning. And I gave up a run in the top of the 4th inning. That is the first run I gave up in the World Series in like 13 innings. The first run.
Yeah.
I started and went 7 in the second game. I pitched out of the bullpen in the 4th game, which nobody does anymore.
No.
And then I started game 6. And Bob Lemon, being the dutiful manager, following the owner's advice, he tried to get a lead early. And he said, I'm going to pinch hit for you. And I looked at him and I said, what? He said, I'm going to pinch hit for you. I said, Lem, that's, and then I went off on him. And then I said, who you bringing in? And he said, George Frazier. I said, shit, Frazier hasn't pitched good the entire series. I'll determine, and well, they took me out. They pinch hit for me, and the rest is history. I think the Dodgers beat us 8-3 or 9-3, something like that. But that was Steinbrenner managing, and he didn't know squat.
Well, I want that kind of leads me into my next thing was, I know that, again, and I'm a little nervous now because, in your book, you seem to be a very big fan of the boss. And I'm wondering okay. So how difficult though, the George off the field was probably one person, but the George in between the lines must have been very difficult for the players to play for because of that meddling, because of that, what happened, just as an example there. As a player back then, take us back. What was it like in the locker rooms or on the dugouts when these things would happen? And what was your thoughts on George doing those things?
Well, the guys, we had a great ball club, great bunch of guys. God, it was Nettles was funny. Mickey Rivers was funnier. We just had a good bunch of guys. And then, George would, the phone would ring and they would pick it up and they would hand it to Lemon and hello. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Boom. Well, you knew it was the boss telling him what to do, and it's you know, you just shake your head and say. In fact, his expertise in football was when he was at college. He got tickets for the alumni and for the tailgate parties. That was his whole thing. And my first year, our president of our ball club was the college football coach. God, I can't think of it now. Shit. Joe Biden's taken over. I've got Bidenitis.
It's okay.
I'll think of
okay,
it.
Go ahead.
And then I'll yell it out as I think of it. But no, George was fun to play for. He didn't. I remember one time in spring training, I'm coming out of the clubhouse and his son Hank is there holding court, yelling and cursing about how overpaid ball players are. And I looked at him and I said, "You really think they are?" He said, "Absolutely." I said, "Well, thank your old man." I said, "He's the one." I said, "I know he is. And we argue about this all the time." And I said, "You know, it's not the player. That's the thing. People think, well, this guy makes this kind of money. Well, he makes that kind of money because his agent got it for him. Is he worth it? Probably not. But he was when the ball club said, we'll give you this much money, you know." And the guy's name was Lou Saban.
Oh, sure.
Lou Saban.
Okay, sure. Okay. Way to catch that up. You know, the one thing about George, you know, it had to be great for the players from the sense, you know, George was making everybody rich, and you know, when he signed a Steve Kemp or Reggie or somebody and paid them ridiculous money, it was good for the players. But as players on those teams, I mean, he dismantled a farm system with people like Willie McGee, Fred McGriff, Tewksbury, Draybeck. I can go through a list. Jay Buhner. As a player, while the money aspect of it was great, there had to be something in there when you guys were going, what is he doing? What, you know, was that disheartening? Did that affect a team or the trading or signing of bad players?
No. It just, you knew that was George, and he never thought young guys. It was hard to play for him if you're young, because you were never allowed to be young and inexperienced. You had to be on top of your game from the get-go. So that's why he liked veteran ball players. You know, and rightfully so. But yeah, he gave away a lot of good ball players.
Oh yeah, I mean, we could start an all-star team with some of the guys that got traded off those Yankee teams especially of the '80s. I mean, but I want to jump ahead to '89 a little bit, and we can jump back and forth a little if you don't mind. But '89, Dallas Green says, you know, Tommy John, Ron Guidry, you have no chance to make this team. We're moving on. George signs you guys. You go to camp. What was when did it change for Dallas for you making the team? Was there one specific thing? And I also want to ask you about a specific conversation I hope you guys had. But tell me first, what was the change? When did it change for Dallas and you that year?
I pitched 5 innings or so against the Phillies, or a National League team, a good National League team, maybe the Mets. I pitched 5 shutout innings, and I pitched really well. And it was then Dallas looked at me and said, maybe this guy can pitch. But 1989, Dallas wanted to prove that Tommy John could not pitch and would not pitch for the Yankees. And lo and behold, I didn't.
Right. That's the weird part. But now there's a conversation in there that you had during spring training, I believe, and it kind of baffled me because Dallas Green is talking about the team and he's asking you your opinion, and he talked about the team being last year, the year before, I guess in '88, being a bad fundamental team. And I thought that was odd. And you agreed. You said we had there was a lot of issues, and you blamed it on the transition from the '70s teams with Munson and Nettles and Randolph to the newer version Yankees. And what I thought was funny about that was, during the '80s, you had managers like Billy Martin and Piniella, guys that I would have thought were very fundamental oriented managers, and yet he thought, and you said, they were bad fundamental teams of the '80s. Is that a true statement? Was that really something that happened? And why do you think that happened?
Why do I think?
Yeah, why did the Yankees become a bad fundamental team in the '80s?
Well, it's like because they weren't commanded to be good fundamental teams. Back in the '60s and early '70s, you worked on fundamentals. You worked on them all the time. Then it got to the point that you didn't work on them. And like you said, we didn't bunt. We couldn't hit and run. We didn't do a lot of things very well. But it was the evolution of the game.
Yeah. I do have a couple of questions. Some of the guys on Facebook are asking a couple of questions. First one from Louis Pica. He wanted to know, what do you think of Richie Allen as a teammate, a Hall of Famer? ?
I got traded for Richie Allen.
Yes. I guess Louis thought you were a teammate of Richie's.
I pitched against him in the minor leagues, and that son of a gun could hit. In 1962, he was at Williamsport, and I was in Charleston, West Virginia, and he could hit. Then in '63, he was at Little Rock, Arkansas, and I spent a couple of maybe a month or 6 weeks in Jacksonville, and he could hit there too. Really hit, and hit with power, but hit. And then, I got up and I was with the White Sox, and they wanted somebody to hit home runs, drive runs in. And they found that they could make this trade and get Dick Allen, and Tommy John and Steve Hunt went to the Dodgers, and and it was a good trade. It was a great trade for the White Sox. It saved their franchise.
Really?
Yeah. They were in the trade was 71.
Mm-hmm.
The White Sox, 71 and 72, the radio broadcast was out of some guy's basement out in West Chicago.
Uh-huh.
You couldn't get a White Sox broadcast on FM at White Sox ballpark. You couldn't get it.
Wow.
And then when Dick came in, and he was like player of the year and all this, and had a good year, home runs and all, boom. The next year they were on WMAQ or one of the big stations. And then I know I got the signal sent to my hometown of Terre Haute, Indiana. And the station, all they had to do was pay $50 a game that I pitched in would be sent down to Terre Haute. So the Terre Haute station down there could broadcast it, because people wanted to see what Tommy John was doing. Well, then after Dick had the good year in 72, 73, all of a sudden the radio was paying the White Sox rights instead of just the White Sox saying, we'll pay. I mean, it was so messed up, but it was because we weren't playing well.
Wow. And then Richie Allen changed all that by getting traded there. So, and that started that changed the whole landscape.
Yeah.
Pete D'Agostino wants to know, how was it playing for Billy Martin? Did you enjoy playing for Billy? Was that a fun experience? With all the craziness, what was your feelings about playing for Billy?
Billy didn't like me, and I didn't like Billy.
Wow.
I thought he was a racist. I thought he hated a lot of blacks.
Wow.
He hated Reggie.
Well, that's obviously well known. That's obviously well known.
Well, then here's Billy Martin, big league manager, Billy Martin. We're in California playing the Angels. I go up to the clubhouse to get a Coke or something, and I hear this racket in the manager's office. And I look at the clubhouse guy and, raise my hands. What's going off? And he said, "Oh, Billy's in there with some babe." And Billy was in there screwing a girl during the ball game. And we were out playing the game, and Billy was having sex in his office.
Wow.
That's a big league manager.
Holy cow. Yeah. This Jeff, I gotta tell you, Jeff, I'm stunned on that one. Jeff, did you ever hear that story?
No, I never heard that story, but does it really shock you?
Obviously, he must have been good.
Oh, wow. Holy cow. Well, I mean, if Billy was racist, I mean, I'm a Yankee fan my entire life. I've read Billy's books. I've read every Yankee book there probably ever is. I've never heard that. I mean, obviously you were there, Tommy, so I'm not going to argue that. How did he survive 5 stints as a Yankee manager? All those things, being that way. I mean, that
he would do what George wanted him to do, and then he would do not what George wanted him to do, and George would fire him. And had he not died on that Christmas day, he would have managed the Yankees again.
Yeah,
George would have hired him again.
Well, there was already
would have fired him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
that's just I'm pitching a game in spring training, and my ex-wife was sitting behind Billy in the stands, and Billy asked his coaches, he said, "How the F does this guy win with that shit he throws?" Now, here's your manager asking him how I pitch when he doesn't think I have good stuff.
Wow.
But that's Billy. Billy, if you knew where Billy came from, I mean, his mother was a prostitute, and he'd come home from school and he'd be locked out of the house because his mother was servicing men. I mean, what does that do to a human being's psyche? You're there and your mother's got you locked out because she's got guys in there that she's servicing. I mean, that's got to make you nuts. And that was Billy. I
would say, that's wow. That's I don't. Hard Rock and Sports. Tommy John joins Jeff and myself having quite the conversation. Learned a lot of stuff right here that I did not know. Well, so if Billy was the bad guy, was Reggie the good guy, or was Reggie what a lot of people thought he was back then?
What was that?
Well, a lot of guys thought Reggie was an egotistical he put the I in team, overrated to a certain extent. I mean, what if Billy was the
overrated? He wasn't.
Okay.
Overrated, he wasn't. Now, what are you looking for? A defensive outfielder? He couldn't play. You're looking for a hitter to hit 320? He can't do it. You're looking for somebody with power and to put the fear of God in pitchers, he'd do it every time at bat. Reggie was okay, in my opinion. He and I were good friends. When my son fell in 81, Reggie was at the hospital at NYU. He would come in. He was there 3 or 4 times to see Travis.
Wow.
And, that says a lot about Reggie and what he thought of me and what he thought of my family. And George Steinbrenner's wife and their daughter came in 2 times just to see how Travis was doing. when you have tragedy in your family, in your personal life, you get an idea of what the people think about you with how they go about soothing your sorrows.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh wow! Again.
Okay, hey, I want to ask you guys a question.
Sure.
This is a big question because if I don't get the right answer, I'm calling Andrew Cuomo.
Okay.
Do you guys have distance? Or you got the personal distance? Between each other?
Yeah, I'll Jeff, you can answer it.
We are stayed away from one another. Tommy is in New Jersey. I am in Staten Island, New York, right now.
Yes, we are social distanced, and it's better. It's better for me. Yeah, it's better. It's better for me. I don't want to be in the same room with Jeff. Jeff and I have been friends for 40 years. We love doing the show together, but I find it much more relaxing when he's a state away from me. I'm in Jersey. Yeah, I live in New Jersey. Jeff, we both grew up in Staten Island. Jeff still lives there. I moved out to Jersey, so we've managed to do this.
Whereabouts in Jersey?
I live in a town called Monroe. It's exit 8A off the Turnpike.
Okay.
Yeah, the most famous thing about my town is the golf course is Forest Gate Golf Course. That's about the most famous thing about my town. So,
Forest Gate.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a friend out here from Jersey. I can't think of what town, but he's a bagel. He's got like 4 or 5 bagel shops. His name's Frank Grasso, and he signed a bagel for me last Christmas, and he gave it to me as a Christmas present.
Well, I tell you, bagels out in Jersey are not as good as Staten Island. So I will tell you, there's a couple decent places. Okay. So if you get me some information on
what he just ordered.
What?
He just ordered 400 or 500 pounds of
that ham from New Jersey.
What's the ham from Jersey?
Taylor ham?
Yeah.
Taylor ham.
He ordered 400 or 500 pounds of it because they didn't think that, or they thought that it might get tough to get.
Yeah.
And they sell a lot of that in their bagel shop.
Yes. That is I've never had it. It is very popular out here. Taylor ham and eggs are extremely. Or pork roll, I guess is the other pork roll. I don't eat much of that myself.
This guy Frank belongs to Upper Montclair.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, that's over by the Yogi Berra Museum, up in Montclair.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yep, I've been there. But a great place. Couple more questions before I let you go. I want to ask you about the surgery. Now, again, everybody's beaten it to death. Everybody knows the story of it. But today, it seems like every pitcher, now we're seeing catcher, second baseman. Any thoughts in your head why there's such so many people having the surgery? And a lot of guys people are starting to do the surgery before it's actually necessary. They're actually going in and doing the surgery prior to an injury. Do you have a thought on why maybe there's a rash of these, and what's your thoughts on people actually going ahead and doing the surgery prior to needing it?
If a doctor does surgery on somebody that doesn't need the surgery, they should lose their license.
Agreed. But what they're saying,
only operate on somebody if they're injured.
Uh-huh.
And why are they doing it now? Is I think their mechanics are probably not real good. Maybe they throw too much. But it's funny that these guys are having it now. Catchers are having it.
Yeah.
Shortstops are having it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Tommy, I'll one of my last ones for you. But I mean, growing up, we played ball all day. I have the theory that the kids today, or the players coming up today, their arm strength, the strength of their arms might not be the same. They don't throw as much. Kids throw once a week in pitching. They don't play other positions. They don't play sandlot games. Growing up, we threw a baseball every day. I mean, whether you had a little league game or you play with your friends, and it just seems like to kids today, maybe their arm strength isn't the same. Yet you had yours, and you threw every day. You were constantly throwing baseballs. So my theory got debunked when I read your book.
No, I only threw every day after surgery. Before the surgery, I wouldn't throw a lot because I was told that there's only so many throws in that arm, and you got to save them. You know, it's like going out shooting a rifle. You've only got so many bullets in there. And no, I did not throw a lot. When I hurt my elbow and Dr. Jobe operated on it, I found coming back, the more I threw, the better my arm felt. And from that time on, from when he started letting me throw a baseball post-surgery until I quit in 1989, I threw a baseball every single day that it was baseball time. I would, the day after I pitch, I would get a catcher. I'd go out and I would throw. Was my arm sore? Yeah, it was sore. It was stiff. But I loosened it up. When it started feeling good, I'd shut it down. And then day 2, day 3, I threw a lot. And day 4, I threw very little. I pitched on day 5. Then I'd start back again on day 1. But I never had a sore arm. And I threw the baseball every day. And, was my motion that good? No. But I just think I'm like you. You do something and you build up strength, and it's not lifting weights and all that. It's throwing a baseball.
Yeah.
And if you want to throw a baseball harder, you throw a lighter baseball.
What do you mean?
They got these heavy baseballs out.
Yeah.
Well, if you throw a heavy baseball, all you're doing is teaching your arm to be slow.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
If you've got a light baseball and you're throwing it, you're teaching your arm to be fast. And to throw a baseball 100 miles an hour, it's got to be awfully fast through the zone. And I picked that up. In fact, I've got 3 golf clubs in my garage. They're training clubs, and they're real light. And you start off with the light one, and you swing it, boom, boom, and you do 15 or 20 swings, and then you go up to the next one heavier, and you do 15 or 20, and then, the next day you do the same thing. The next day, maybe you go up to the 3rd club, and you swing it. But you always swing that light club first and last. And, in fact, the guy that told me this, Charlie Reimer, who was on Morning Drive on the Golf Channel, he said that's what a lot of the guys use now, this light club. They swing it to build up speed.
Wow. It's funny. I would have thought the complete opposite. I would have thought if you threw a heavier ball, it would strengthen your arm, and when you got to the lighter ball, it would teach you it would make you throw faster. But it makes total sense. And that's why you won 288 games, and I didn't. So that's something I'm glad I learned.
But you're a multi-millionaire doing great
yeah.
shows,
Jeff's got all the money. I don't get to see any money. Jeff gets it all, and I don't see a dime.
Where is it?
I got one more for you, Ty. Let me ask you, the day that you get the call that you're going to get to go into the Hall of Fame, what hat would you wear?
I don't have a choice. The Hall of Fame took it out of the ball player's hand because Dave Winfield and Reggie Jackson sold their hat rights.
Correct.
Reggie sold his to the Yankees.
$100,000.
And Winfield sold his. Winfield sold his to San Diego. And when the Hall of Fame found out about it, they said, "No, you don't. No, that is going to stop." So if I get in,
well,
in fact, what I'm working on now is I'm working on a friend of mine is a congressman, and he's a good friend of President Trump, as I am. I mean, I met Don in 1979 when I came with the Yankees, and he's trying to get Donald to give me the American Hall of Freedom or the
Medal of Freedom.
Yeah, for being, I don't know.
And we're working on a movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're working on a movie, and then they're going to come out with TJ25 wine. And I said, I want a Seder wine because it'll get a lot of. I want a wine like Manischewitz or Mogen David 2020, but I don't think that's going to work.
Well, I hope you get the wine because we're big fans of wine in our house here, and I'd love to add that to the collection. And the movie sounds great. I mean, obviously, does it? Well, I got to ask you before you get back. I know you don't have a say. If you had a say, or if they asked you your opinion, what hat would you want to wear into the Hall of Fame?
Well, it would be a toss-up between the Dodgers and Yankees. Okay. I love the Dodgers when the O'Malleys owned the team because they treated you like you were part of their family. Now the people that own it, you're part of the quagmire that's out there.
Oh yeah.
I would say, from a marketing point of view, probably Yankees.
Oh yeah, I would say from a marketing standpoint, obviously putting the Yankee cap on is always. But again, for me, growing up when I did, I'll always remember you as a Yankee, and even more so tonight, even more so now. I really, I want to thank you from all of us here at Hard Rock and Sports, Nikki, our producer, Jeff, and myself, for close to an hour on the air with us, and I thank you for hanging in there. And you were an amazing guest. The people on the comments are amazing, and thank you for some great stories. And we hope that somewhere down the line you'll come back on and talk some more with us, because I'm sure we have a ton more to ask you. But I want to say thank you.
Yeah. I would love to come back on. One of the things I love to do is talk. And I've got some stories. Stories that you'll go, oh my God, oh wow.
Well, you did that to us tonight, and I do want to get you back on. I certainly want to get you back on when they start talking about the movie and some more stuff to promote. And of course, can I ask you for one favor? We ask all the guests to give us a radio tag or an ID. Hi, it's Tommy John, and you're listening to the Hard Rock and Sports Show with Jeff and Tom. Would you mind giving us? Can you do that for us?
Is it Hard Rock or Hot Rock?
Hard Rock, HARD, Hard Rock and Sports.
Oh, hard.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got that Jersey accent of hard.
Yes, sir.
This is Hard Rock Radio. What do you want me to say?
I like it. If you could, hi, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to Hard Rockin' Sports with Tom and Jeff.
Hard Rockin' with Tom and Joe?
Jeff.
Why? Joe didn't say much.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, he's Jeff's a little bit tongue-tied tonight. He's sometimes.
Yeah. I'm shy.
Joe, Tom and Jeff.
Yes, sir. So yeah.
Tom and Jeff. Okay. Hey, this is Tommy John. You're listening to Hard Rock Radio.
That's fine.
Hard Rock. Wait a minute. Hard Rock Radio Sports.
Hard Rock and Sports.
This is my Biden thing. Hard Rock.
We're going to call you Sleepy Tommy.
Sleepy Tommy. You got that right.
Yes. Yeah. So real quick, hi, it's Tommy John. You listen to Hard Rock and Sports with Tom and Jeff.
How would you like to see him as president?
Oh my God. I would tell you, it's my biggest fear. Coronavirus aside, I don't fear it. Joe Biden as a puppet figure running this country scares the life out of me.
He's got no clue. He can't find his butt with both hands, and if he does, he doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, I have been and continue to be a big fan of our president, and I hope for at least I'm hoping for 4 more years. I can't imagine Joe Biden in there. You'll just bring the swamp back and the deep state. I'm not interested. So yeah, I'll be.
You're seeing how corrupt these people are, and now this bullshit going on with Flynn and what the FBI did to him. Here is the best police agency in the world, and they screwed this guy over. Oh my God, I see that and I went, oh, this is horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, and I think
the guy with his class and what he had done. Now, if you hear those dogs barking, we have 2 dogs, one black, one white. They were born and they were brothers from the same litter. One's black, one's white. The white one is Arnold Palmer. The black one is Jack Nicklaus. Okay, give me my line again. I'm like that guy on Liberty Mutual.
All right, we'll try one more time. It's no problem. Hi, it's Tommy John. You're listening to Hard Rock in Sports with Tom and Jeff.
Okay. Hey, this is Tommy John. You're listening to Hard Rock in Sports with Tom and Jeff.
Outstanding.
Awesome.
Tommy John, I would talk politics with you, wine, movies, and your baseball career anytime. Please do us a favor. Tell your friends about the Hard Rock and Sports Show. It's very difficult for us to get athletes, former, current, on our show. We had Brian Doyle on a couple of times. We've had Pete Rose once. We had George Foreman. But it is very difficult for us to get athletes to come on our show. So please tell your friends about us. We'd love to have anybody, but especially we'd love to have you back again sometime in the future.
Brian Doyle was my roommate my first year with the Yankees.
Really?
And you know what that son of a gun did?
I have no idea.
Well, I had number 25 with the White Sox, the Dodgers. And I go to the Yankees, number 25 is worn by Brian Doyle. So I said, Brian, are you tied into that number? Well, he said, I've had it for a while. I said, what do you want? He said, okay, here's the deal.
Oh boy.
Buy me one dinner on the road trip. Every road trip, buy me one dinner, and you can have my number. I said, okay, you got it.
He's a very nice man. Doesn't strike a hard bargain. That seems you got off pretty light with that one. I think he could have got a little bit more out of that. No.
Yes, he could have.
Yes. Yeah. Next time we have him on the show, we've had him on the show twice. A very nice man. Is a very nice family, and I'll have to bring that up to him next time we have him on and find out why he didn't go for a little bit more. I know he's a Christian man, so maybe he was trying to be nice.
Yeah, well, you can still be nice and be tough and be a Christian.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to work on his. We need to work on his negotiating skills. So, but like I said, please tell your friends about us, and I hope you get the Medal of Freedom from the president. I think that's quite the honor, and probably well deserved. So, thank you for over an hour, and like I said, please come back anytime. We'd love to have you again down the road.
I would love that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Tommy John. Everybody, that's Tommy John. He was here on Hard Rock and Sports. Gave us, Jeff, I will tell you, just the fact that he told us Billy Martin was racist, was banging his future wife in his office.
Well, let me ask you something. Did it strike you odd that Billy Martin was racist?
No, but nobody's ever said it. Jeff, I've read literally everything. I got a wall here with just fully Yankee books, the Billy Martin book, and nobody's ever said Billy Martin was a racist. Reggie Jackson, nobody ever come out and say, Billy's a racist.
There might have been a code back then, Tom, where, they didn't say certain things, and evidently Tommy John don't give a fuck, and the things that he did say. First of all, he was a very different interview than I imagined. I couldn't ask a question.
Why?
Because, I don't know. He just, like, when he started talking about the fundamentals of baseball and everything, like, I didn't see him as that kind of interview. I figured we would have talked to him about his playing career and everything, but he went a little bit more in depth, I think, than just what he did on the field. He hardly talked about his playing career at all, if you think about it. Like the highlights, being on Dodgers and Yankees and everything else, and how long he was there.
Yeah.
And he was going into I didn't know that he was a coach, managed. Yeah. Because I was going to ask him, why didn't he ever become a manager?
Well, he only managed in the minors and the independent leagues. He never managed in the majors or I don't think he managed like in the major triples, like the AAA, AA. I think it was only independent leagues, like Cape Cod.
Why? Well, why didn't he? Like, why didn't that ever, come up to the next level? The guy played for a phenomenal.
That's a question. That's a great question. You should have asked that one.
Well, there's always next time.
Absolutely, he was a fun interview. I felt like I was keeping him too long. We had him for an hour and 7 minutes.
Dude, let me tell you something. He'd still be here if given the chance. I think he'd still be here.
Well, I'll tell you right now, that has just become one of my favorite interviews of all time. Tommy John was a good interview.
Yeah.
No holds barred. The Trump guy. I got to tell you, first off, just the fact that he told me that Mike Marshall did not do Jeff in his book. I just read it the other day. After the 74 season, when he hurt his elbow and he was rehabbing in 75, it says in his book that he went to Mike Marshall because he was this guy. Mike Marshall was a pitcher, but he was this bright guy who had some sort of degree in kinesiology and the joints, and he worked with Mike Marshall, and it's specific on his Wikipedia. It says it, and then he says, "No, I never worked with him." I'm like, okay.
Well, listen, guy is 76 years old, bro.
That's.
He's probably an hour past his bedtime and shit, and who knows what he remembers? Maybe he don't remember. Who knows?
I don't know, but I tell you, that's a lot of fun right there. And
I mean, not for nothing. Tommy John seemed to be 400 years old when he was pitching for the Yankees.
Well, his last year, he was 46 years old in his last season with the Yankees.
I understand that.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He's going to be 77 in a couple of days.
Yes, May 27th. Yeah, something like that. May 20-something,
so, you're not talking about a young guy by any stretch.
No. I was just getting a kick out of him doing the radio. I wasn't going to even ask him if you didn't put that up there. I wouldn't have asked him.
So, man, dude, that was fucking hysterical, man. I figured, and especially when he said about the Liberty Mutual guy. I was like, wow, he's got a sense of humor, man. He was pretty good.
He was funny. I wanted to. Again, I'm going to wait a couple of months and I'm going to get him back because, I mean, listen, I read his book and I asked him stuff directly out of his book. He said none of it happened. What are you going to do?
Unbelievable.
Hard Rocket Sports 347-826-9934 and 4. Thanks for everybody sticking in here on a Thursday night, 10 after 9. Jeff and I are going to go a little longer. I see Jeff's a little tired, so we won't stay too late tonight.
No, I don't understand it. Well, I can't. Every week, I find it harder and harder to stay awake. I really can't. I'm not getting that old by the week, bro. It's it's a week, not 10 years.
Oh man, so we talked. Did we finish up on Stephen A. Smith, or you want to go back to that? Was pretty funny. He commented on it, and he was hanging for 15 minutes. I didn't know he had a 973 number. I thought it was like a Jersey number. The guy lives in California, in Arizona. And he wasn't supposed to call us. We were supposed to call him.
Oh, well, listen, the guy made it on the show. That's all that's important.
That is all that's important again. So let's keep on. We'll go for a little while longer. We'll let Jeff off the hook. Nice show. Jeff, best offseason move this year in NFL is probably Andy Dalton signing with the Cowboys. I think that's a great move by the Cowboys. Gives them a veteran guy in case Dak goes down, or gives them a problem signing. Very kind of under the radar signing, but to me might be the best signing of the offseason.
Oh, listen, just for Andy Dalton, look where he goes. He goes from the fucking bowels of the NFL to near the top of the heap by signing with the Cowboys. It's like, I think the Cowboys are the one organization, or one of the organizations that a lot of people want to play for. So like to just know that, okay, there he is, he's playing. You got to be very happy about that. Is it a good signing? Definitely. When you have a veteran of that caliber, somebody that's been in the league for a while, he was a steady first stringer in Cincinnati for years. He made it to the playoffs a couple times, so it's good. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tremendous.
You got to remember you're on video, bro.
Yes, I know. I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you about it later. I got it. I had to shoot my wife out of the room because we're on video. Anyway.
Then call her back in. I've evidently missed something.
No, it's okay. I think it's a great move, and it puts the pressure on Dak Prescott because he can't really, hold out or not sign his tag or whatever it is. So I think it's a great move, a really great move by them. Thank you for giving me that, Jeff. I appreciate you telling me. I got your text. Thank you. But I think it's a good move. We talked about Cam Newton. He's basically the last quarterback of the big group of guys. I don't think this is the greatest group. Rivers is out there playing now for the Chargers. Nick Foles went up to Chicago. I think there's some questions with there's Rosen, but I don't put Rosen in that category. But Cam Newton's the last guy. What at this point, I say Cam Newton doesn't get a job or doesn't wind up on a team until somebody gets hurt during the season or in training camp.
Unless he goes to the Patriots, unless he signs with the Patriots, and even that is iffy.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think Belichick's going to go into the season. I think he's going in with what he's got, unless something falls in his lap. I don't think that Bill. I think Bill thinks he's got his quarterback on his roster.
Listen, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
You're Bill Belichick, okay?
Yep.
Now, for years, we've watched Bill Belichick win and win and win and win and win. Nonstop, the guy's been winning, okay?
Yeah.
You can't say anything there.
Nope.
Now, all of a sudden, here you come, your first year without Tom Brady. You're going to go with this kid, this rookie, this third rounder, whatever it is. He's second or third year in the league, and Brian Hoyer. Really, it's not Hoyer's first trip over there in New England.
No.
If I was Bill Belichick, I go after fucking Cam Newton.
I thought the play was Andy Dalton, but I guess he, maybe he didn't want to give up. But to me, I thought the play was Andy Dalton. I think Dalton's still a serviceable guy out there. I mean, the only other guy out there that without a trade, I think is Flacco, who I would want nothing to do with.
Flacco just had his neck operated on.
Oh, did he?
I believe it was last month.
Okay, so
all right, sometime. So you're still talking about somebody that's not going to be able to play. Sign or do anything until August or September. Unless Cam Newton is damaged goods.
Again, here's the problem. I think a big problem for Cam Newton is the way this offseason. I think if this had been a regular offseason where he could have went to somebody's facility and threw a football and ran around a little bit, and maybe presented himself in a professional light, maybe he gets a job faster than some of these other guys. But I think if you're out there and you're basing everything on his medical report and the guy he's been the last few years, I think it's difficult for a guy like that to get signed sight unseen. Andy Dalton got signed sight unseen because he was a good soldier, probably didn't take a lot of money, and wanted to do it. And there's no negative.
Well, you're also talking too. Andy Dalton wasn't hurt, wasn't injured.
Correct.
Whereas Cam Newton is coming off a foot injury and surgery.
Sure.
So you can't you know, the guy is known as a running quarterback too. You know, it was a runner just as much as he was a passer. Not in the same vein as Lamar Jackson, but he was a runner. Now, all of a sudden, his foot is injured. What are you going to do now? You gotta, you can't just take him like you're saying. You can't just like, okay, he's here, let's take him, let's sign him. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, that's a bit risky. No,
yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. And again, if I'm Cam Newton, I'm not listening to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is a moron, and you do not want to sit out a year after being hurt for a year and not playing well for 2 or 3 years. Yeah, I think that's the last thing you want to do. We're going to hold off on the football schedules because it's a little late in the show. I don't want to get started on football schedules. We'll save that for either maybe a special show or next Thursday night. Let's see. You know what? There was some talk for a while, Jeff, that there was going to be a follow-up to Bohemian Rhapsody. And then I saw an interview with Brian May, and he basically said, well, we talked about it, but we don't know how to do it, and it might be depressing based on, you know, what happens, you know, from where they left off to Freddie passing. And I found that interesting. I'm saying to myself, there had to be some good times in there before he got sick, and even afterwards. I wouldn't mind knowing a little bit more about that time period, because to me, I don't know much about that. From the time Freddie got from, let's say, from Live Aid through when he passed, to me, I don't know a lot. So I really wouldn't mind seeing that movie. Did you want to see a follow-up to the first?
No. And the reason I don't want to see a follow-up to the first one is because how they manipulated the timeline. When they were actually at Live Aid, Freddie Mercury did not know that he had AIDS at that point in time. Correct. It wasn't until after that. So now what you did is you put events, you changed the sequence of real life events. Right. You know, and how do you, I don't know. I wouldn't want to, don't need to see it. I wouldn't want to see it.
Well, here's the thing. I think if you were Queen and you knew going in that there was going to be a success, because nobody could think that movie was going to be the huge hit it was, then you kind of let the thing play out and you let it end at Live Aid. But thinking that they were probably doing this as a one-off thing, they wanted to squeeze in as much as they could, and they played with the timeline, which I don't like when people do stuff like that. But on a one-off movie like that, I could see what they were trying to do. I would have just ended the movie with him getting AIDS at the end. Like, I would have just made that the end of the movie, and let that end of his life go out that way. But I didn't have a major problem with it. I would like to know more about that time period, whether it's a documentary, but I wouldn't have minded a sequel, although I don't think it would have been able to carry the way this one did. That one was so good. I don't think I'm surprised it hasn't been more of them, though. You know what I mean? I'm surprised that there hasn't been more of a run. They came out with the Elton John one, which I didn't really care for. My wife loved it.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's part Broadway musical, which
I heard about that. First of all, you don't know what their thoughts, what their expectations were, but I mean, it was Queen, so it was a big thing. But second of all, after you saw how well Bohemian Rhapsody did.
Yep.
What band is ever going to be able to put out a documentary like that and capture people's attentions?
Sabbath. Ozzy. Because Ozzy's in it, you'll get the baby generation because they grew up on the Osbournes and Sharon. So I think Sabbath could be. That's a really great story if you think about it. You know, it's really a nice story.
They're all still alive. That's the good thing.
Yeah.
You got to remember, nobody cares when somebody dies and then they think that they're going to release something that nobody knew about them. You know what they should have done with Bohemian Rhapsody is ended it at Live Aid. Yeah, and then they could have focused on everybody. Could say like John Deacon. John Deacon retired from active playing in 19 whatever. His last show was this.
Yeah.
He hasn't been seen or heard from since.
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury continues to tour with Queen. Brian May.
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury died of AIDS on such and such a date and blah, 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 blah. And they could have, then that would have left the door open for them to come in and do a second movie and maybe pick it up. You know, if you wanted to include Freddie dying, that's fine.
Yeah.
Or if you wanted to include, you know, Freddie already died, now show life without him, show the big concert they had for him, what Queen has evolved into today.
Sure.
That would have been okay. You know, I could have dealt with that. But I just don't see, because they manipulated the timeline. Where do you start off? How do you do it? What do you do? You know what I mean? Everybody knows that he didn't have AIDS at that point in time. How do you do it now?
No, I listen. I agree. I think once you manipulated the timeline again. Hard Rocket Sports, Jeff and Tom with you till about 9:30 or so, talking sports. We just finished up with Tommy John, and you can catch a replay of this show maybe Saturday on Radical Online Radio, certainly on Spotify, and of course this video will be on our YouTube channel. Please go there and subscribe. Our Mark Farner interview from last week already has 33 views in a couple of days that it's up. So please, guys, get it out there. It helps get the show out to different people. But yeah, I mean, once they screw with the timeline, they can't really do a second one. But Frank Catman, Frank Catalano just put up one. Skinnerd document, Skinnerd movie would be a good one, I think.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people don't realize after they had the accident, some of those guys hung around for a while.
Sure.
They didn't all die in the accident, but basically, I think they're all gone. All the original members. I think Ricky Medlock, I don't know if he was an original member, but he's still touring with Skinnerd, or was touring with Skinnerd, and he was an old timer from that band.
Well, I know the drummer survived. I think he stayed around a little while, but then he just used to show up on the Howard Stern show. He was all screwed up, but he was around. I don't know if he's still alive or not, though, and I don't know his name top of my head. But
Artemis something, I think.
I think that's it. Artemis, not Finch. Artemis Pyle.
That might be it. That may
Artemis
be it.
Pyle.
I think he's alive, because I know the keyboard player recently died.
So Frank said the only one left is Gary Rossington.
Ask him about Ricky. He can hear me talking, I'm assuming.
Yeah, is Ricky Medlock an original member, Frank?
Was an old timer in that band. Was he original?
And it was Artemis Pyle. So Frank, thank you, Frank. I don't know if he's looking this up or if he knows. And Jeff wants to know, is Ricky Medlock an original member?
I can't remember for sure.
Yeah, I don't know either. Again, I'm not the biggest fan, but I think that's a good band that would be a documentary.
That's definitely a good one, because there was so many people, and there was offshoots for that band. 38 Special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think a couple others, you know, had some bands.
Frank said yes.
Collins band too.
Frank said he left and he came back. So I guess
he was an original member.
I guess so. That's what Frank said. He said he was an early member. I don't know if that means original or not.
Well, in a band when there was like 17 people in it at any given time, anyway.
Yeah, but in the hard rock metal world, I think Sabbath is one that should be a document. Yeah, you're right. It'll probably when Ozzy dies, which, you know, who the hell knows. But I think that's an interesting one. Other than that, I'm not sure.
A step closer to that now, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. I wanted to lead into this because I read an article in Blabbermouth that Tony Iommi said he'd be open to doing some shows with Sabbath. So I think it's going to happen, because I think before Ozzy officially, you know, is the ultimate milkshake maker, I think.
Dude, come on, man. I can't see that happening. Could you imagine Ozzy like? You look like he's getting electrocuted. How the fuck is he going to expect this guy to fucking
You would be front row center if they did it.
I don't know about that.
You would be front row center.
I'm telling you right now, I don't know about that. I don't know about that, because now it's to the point where the guy is going to be shaking his balls off. You know, he ain't going to be able to, if he's shaking, he can't read the teleprompter in front of him. So he might as well just go up and moan in tune to the music as best he can. Because he's not going to be able to sing.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure. He did a good job the last time we saw him. I thought it was good.
4 years ago.
That's true. It was 4 years ago.
Okay. But, and yeah, here we go. Let me put it. We're almost to the halfway point of 2020. That's one thing.
Go ahead.
Okay? Second of all, you would have to get that. This isn't something that would happen this year.
No.
So whatever's going on with Ozzy, is going to take another year off his fucking life.
Well, let's put it this way. They could theoretically do a one-off show. I'm not talking about a tour. They're never going to tour again. But I'm saying I could see them doing a one-off show or 2 shows in, say, November or December and getting that together. I don't think that would be out of crazy.
Oh, dude, I don't even know if there's going to be that. Do you want to see a Black Sabbath show? Do you want to see Black Sabbath play in an arena someplace that's going to be fucking quarter full because of social distancing? Really?
No, listen.
Are you kidding me?
Well, Mike, listen, at this point, Tommy John was right. Let's get people out there. Do it in an outdoor stadium. Do it someplace in California when it's 90 degrees.
You're talking about a fucking 76-year-old man who's probably on his way out too, telling us, let's get everything going. He don't have much time left. He wants to see things get back to normal for his own selfish reasons.
Hard Rocket Sports, the non-politically correct station here. You heard Tommy John earlier talking about Billy Martin being a racist and banging his future wife in the clubhouse and all this.
I'll tell you the truth. You know what? I hear stuff like that.
Yeah.
Billy Martin banging his future wife while there's a game going on. I want to get my wife up here while we're on video, figure out a way I can hide her, and just go to town.
Absolutely not. We want nothing to do with that. Your wife is an absolute princess.
She is. That's why I need to defile her on air.
No, listen. There's going to be certain rules to being on a live stream every week now.
Maybe you don't know where she is. Maybe she's.
I'll tell you this now. Since it all works so well together, we will be doing this every week. So it's out. We're done.
Okay, that's all right. We got practice shows too. Yes, we get this taken care of.
Listen, I got to hit one button and you're off. Your camera stops. So let's.
It's all right. Hopefully you get me like that.
Exactly.
Some stupid look on my face.
Guys, also, my brother and I worked on something that now Jeff and I are going to be doing every week. It's a promotional video. I'm going to show it to Jeff before I post it. But this is something we're going to do every week. We took the Carmine Appice video, Carmine Appice interview, and he did a lot of graphics and this and that. And it takes a little time, and it requires some re-editing. I had to do a couple hours of recording my vocals for some of the questions. I'll let Jeff see it. We're going to do it. It'll be on YouTube. Please check out the Hard Rocket Sports YouTube channel. It's a Hard Rocket Sports YouTube channel, not to be confused with the Hard Rocket Sports Band YouTube channel. We have a YouTube band channel, so make sure you check them both out.
90 seconds.
We're going to be losing the feed in about 90 seconds for the radio show, and then we're going to start wrapping up this. Jeff, let me see. Is there anything else you want to get to tonight? I know you're tired, and
there is one thing I do want, man. I want the half man.
Half man.
I want the half man.
Okay. Well, let's put it this way. I think half man is in hiding. I have not heard from the half man. He has disappeared. I think the beard. I think the dying of the beard, and he has ran.
I want the half man because I want to know his take on the Raiders draft.
Yeah, I am surprised he is not called in to tell us how great the Raiders drafted this year. And
that's because he knows it wasn't great, and he doesn't need to get abused like that.
That's very possible. I won't argue that. Listen, we're gonna talk a little more football again. I am off next Thursday and Friday. We'll do the regular show. We have Damon Johnson. I believe that'll be our first live video interview, and I think we're gonna be trying to get him to do a couple of acoustic songs. Damon Johnson, if whoever you guys, Black Star Riders and Thin Lizzy.
Oh, okay.
He's been on the show. Big sports fan, loves golf, college football. So I'm looking forward to having Damon Johnson next week, hopefully on video, and maybe he'll be performing for us. And maybe we'll sneak a show next Friday or something. And but we'll talk. We're going to talk NFL schedules. We'll talk about some of the power rankings, and hopefully we'll get some good news, Jeff. I think we're almost ready to start hearing what's going to actually happen with baseball and football. I think it's going to happen. We're going to get that this week.
I think something is going to happen. We're going to hear something. I don't know if it's going to be what people want.
No,
but it's going to be something. and it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I want football to start. Here's the question, Jeff. All we heard was what my father said. Do you think if that's true, if it's a September 23rd start, do you think that's smart for the NFL to kind of say, we're going to get a late start in July, let's take a couple extra weeks and give these teams a chance to really get together? Or do you think it'd be more important for the league to get started on time, maybe before a possible second round gets started? So do you think it's more important to get started and maybe avoid the virus coming back in February? Or do you think it's smarter to do what they might do and start a little later and give teams a chance to get ready?
Maybe what they should do is being it's the NFL and it's such an entity that it is. I don't know where the Super Bowl is going to be this year, but making Tampa Bay. Okay, so make plans, contingency plans that, you know what, we're going to have the Super Bowl even if we're in the height of a pandemic. Where this is what we're going to do. We're going to start to put these people, we're going to figure out where we can put them, where we can house them, whatever, so that we can continue to go forth with the Super Bowl. Because out of all of the sporting events that could happen, I believe that the Super Bowl would be the biggest one that would be missed. I don't care. I think people could make it without the Stanley Cup or the NBA finals, or even the World Series at this point in time. But I think that the Super Bowl has to give it every attempt. Do you realize that the only sports entity that gave it any kind of attempt to continue was wrestling with WrestleMania?
So far, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And now they did it in an empty arena, which wrestling, I don't understand how that happened. I really don't.
Yeah.
That is something completely different where, just the thought of that, they need the crowd and everything else.
Yeah, listen, wrestling. By the way, before I forget, have you found the Vice channel on your system? Does it have it? Because they have some great wrestling documentaries.
Yes. I was able to find and spend quite a lot of time on the Vice channel when I was in jail. I would go through Facebook and I'd come across all of these videos, and it was actually some good ones. Vice has some really good ones. I found a couple different pages that were some medical ones that were really great.
Oh yeah.
People that were like 16 inches tall at full height, and what 3-year-olds look like they were 75 because of progeria and some other born differently type shit.
Oh boy,
great stuff, man. Good stuff.
Well, I watched the snooker one. There's one on Dwight Schultz, Dr. D.
Dr. D, Dwight Schultz.
There's one on him that was fantastic. He wanted to be a bounty hunter after the whole John Stossel thing. You get a chance, try to find that one. That's really, the snooker one wasn't great. I didn't really care for it. The Dwight D one, and there's one on Dino Bravo. Dino Bravo was killed in, I think, a drug deal.
Dino Bravo's death wasn't exactly all,
So there's 3 that I've seen so far. Again, the snooker one was kind of like, I don't know, I didn't care for it. But the Dr. D one was really, he's a maniac.
Yeah.
So if you get a chance, check those out. But you're right, WrestleMania. Listen, wrestling is what it is. Wrestling is all based on the crowd getting into it, and the wrestlers playing off the crowd. Listen, that's all about money. That was just, they had sponsor money, and if they didn't do it, they didn't get the money, and put the event on. And they, here's the other thing I didn't like about WrestleMania, and I haven't watched a real WrestleMania in a long time. They did it over 2 days. You can't do WrestleMania in 2 days. It just doesn't make any sense. I know they did it. I know, Jeff, but you can't. It's ridiculous. It's a 1-day event. You squeeze it all in, and you move on. Other than that, who's coming back for day 2? I mean, come on, seriously.
Dude, listen, I think it was a great idea, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, come on.
There's nothing else going on right now. Now, right. I don't know who's wrestling and what fights are going on and what storylines are happening, but think about this. You're a 12-year-old kid deeply into wrestling. Somehow you managed to convince your mother and father to buy WrestleMania, and now it's 2 days of wrestling. You know what I mean? It gives the people something to do. It gave them 2 days of entertainment. Now, I don't know what the matches were, I know nothing at all about that.
I have no idea.
I know it's supposed to be the biggest matches of the year.
Yeah.
You gave people 2 days to watch that. I think that's genius. I really do.
Well, let's put it this way. Would a 14-year-old Tommy and a 15-year-old Jeff back in the 1980s watch 2 days of WrestleMania?
No, because our parents would never have bought us that. So, no, the answer to that is no.
Very true. My friend would not have given me $49 or $64.
Whatever it was, it wasn't happening.
That's very
like, hey, Ma, could you take me to the Felt Forum? So I go, what? No. What do you, no.
Yes, it's very true. That would never happen back in the day. Guys, Hard Rock and Sports 347-826-9934. We're going to start saying goodnight so we can let Jeff get some rest because he's got a lot of work to do tomorrow back out in the yard. He's got to build a wall.
Yes, I'm building a wall, and you want to know something? I'll tell you right now.
Okay,
it's a great wall. It's a tremendous wall, and Mexico ain't paying for this fucking wall either.
Well, will you be posting pictures of the wall when it's complete?
When it's complete, yeah, because I've been busting my balls. I almost died out there today as I was doing the fucking wall.
Well, you know what?
I was just like, things don't feel right, man. I can't do this no more.
Well, it's funny. In the middle of the day, I looked at my phone. I said, I didn't get one derogatory Giant or Gettleman text today. I said, something's not right. And I went, all right, let's not poke the bear. Let's not poke the bear.
Well, it all happened. I woke up this morning, right, a little bit late in, and I was hoping to wake up. And I had the dog in bed with me because I went down and got the dog. My wife went to took a shower, and me and the dog sacked out and went to bed. So we woke up, we went and got breakfast. So then I was like, if I sit too long, I'm not going to do nothing. So let me go now to Home Depot. I went and I bought more of those red brick, of course. My wife loves these red brick.
Oh, boy.
Get another color. So I got a red wall coming up in front of the house and bags of stone because I'm putting between the curb and the sidewalk where there's some old grass. I'm putting some of the stone, right? So it looks nice so far. Everything looks good.
Okay.
So then I had to come home. I bought like another, I don't know, 10 or 15 brick, whatever it was today. So, they're like a foot long or whatever. Then I got, I don't know if you could see it. There it is. That little purple mark. I smashed my hand between two bricks, so I got a little blood blister.
Come on.
Yeah, it's right there. I'm going to pop it later when I get out off the air. Drain it. So I went. I had to do that. And then, I got to take everything I need through the house. So because I can't walk around, it takes too long. It'd be stupid. So now I gotta get stuff, go back and forth. Gotta go get more stuff, go back and forth. Gotta go back, get all the stuff, go back and forth. So the only thing though is I was able to buy a couple hammers today. So I got a new mallet and a little 2-pound sledge that I don't think I could break anybody's teeth with. It's so small. And this little masonry fucking chisel that I was using to break the brick with. It worked, but it took some time. But like I said earlier, I put up like half the wall, not even half, maybe a third. And I'm like, this is taking forever, and then I still gotta finish the wall, finish that up, fill it with dirt, then go out and buy the fucking plants that I want to put in there, buy the mulch. And my wife's like, oh, this is going to look really nice. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait for you to finish the other side. I was like, oh, sweetie, I said, this may take most of the summer to finish this project because I got to rip out all of this vine and shit.
There are some workers over at the a place called the Home Depot. You can usually find some guys outside. Maybe not in the coronavirus era. I'm not really sure if the union's still out over there.
Yeah, the union. Oh, well, El Guadalupe union. Nah, this is something that, you know what? This is probably going to be my last wall. So.
Will you be sending this design of the wall to Donald Trump maybe to use down on the border?
I don't think this one they could just step right over. The shortest of Mexicans could leap over this one in a single bound, too.
Could the half man attempt to climb your wall?
The half man may be able to get up on the walls. He may be able. I don't know if he'd want to once he's at top. What his plan would do?
Would he need a parachute? Will he need a parachute to get off?
He may, or some bungee cords, something like that.
Well, hopefully we'll get the half man back on soon. I would love to get the half man on this. This technology and the half man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well, but tell him he has to grow the beard back.
Oh, but he's got to color it. He's got to color it in again. That was ridiculous.
What the fuck is that?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Listen, let's start the thank you. I want to thank everybody tonight. There's been a ton of people watching us and a ton of people listening. Obviously, thanks to Tommy John and his people for an hour and change of an interview. It was really top notch. It was one of my favorite already. Excuse me. Thanks to everybody behind the scenes at Hard Rocket Sports. Thanks to Nick, Big Sexy Marino, for all his hard work, although Nick has disappeared again. I've tried to reach him all day. He's not answering emails or texts, and thanks to Cheryl, who works for Tommy John, for getting him on the show.
Was that the girl that was on earlier?
I don't know. Cheryl, her name was Cheryl. She did leave a comment in there. She's now following Hard Rocket Sports.
Cheryl Beaches Zeldin.
Yes, she is Tommy John's agent, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So thanks to Cheryl for getting Tommy on. Thanks to Tommy John for spending it out. Thanks to everybody who watched and listened and commented, and we really appreciate it. You know, it means a lot to both of us to have everybody. I think these videos are really good for us. The last one did, I think it's over 400 views on the last one. So yeah, I think it got over 400 already, and hopefully this one will be even better. Again, check out hardrocketsports.com for more information on upcoming shows and guests. We'll check out the Hard Rocket Sports Show YouTube channel. It's already got some of the old episodes up there on video now, and then all of these shows will wind up over there. So if you miss it, you can go there and check it out. Of course, go to our Hard Rocket Sports Facebook page, and you'll find this there for a long time. Again, thanks to Nick and Sam Bone and everybody for all the help. Thanks to my partner in crime, Mr. Jeff Nowinski. Jeff, your passing of gas during the Tommy John interview was top notch. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Oh, dude, I was blowing my brains out, man. It was unbelievable.
Yes, I kind of hope Tommy John did hear it, but he did not comment. And,
no, nobody heard anything. Believe me, nobody heard anything. And if they did, it would have been one of these. You would have been like, and they just went back to the show because you would have been like, what was that?
Well, listen, guys, it's supposed to be a little bit of a cold weekend, so make sure you get out. And
of course, it's going to be cold. But you know why? I'll tell you why it's going to be cold.
Why is it going to be cold?
Because my wife insisted upon planting fucking flowers last week. Okay,
yes.
Every single fucking spring it happens. The first warm day in January. Oh my God, it's so beautiful out. Let's get some flowers. I'm like, no, sweetie, let's not do that until after Mother's Day. After Mother's Day, then we can do it. Okay. Then March comes in April. Oh my God, look at it. It's so warm out. Oh, it's so nice. It's so nice. Like, no, don't fall for it. So what happened? We fell for it. We fell for it.
Oh, they are talking about record cold here in the Northeast. I don't know how much of it we'll see, but I did see some 30s. So
that fucking snow, bro.
Yes, I know.
Okay? I have all of these fucking things in window boxes and shit. Home Depot must be like, there he is.
There's the sucker.
Yeah, there he is. There he is.
You go outside, dig them all up, bring them in the house, and keep them nice and toasty warm until next week. I think that's what you have to do.
Listen, just like we should be out and about and everything else,
yes,
these plants need to get their immune systems up. Stay out there.
They better huddle together this weekend.
Yeah. I'll look out the window and just doing it, man. Come on, man. You can do it.
I think you might have a pep talk with the plants before tomorrow. So, but everybody, please stay warm. If we do get some snow, I think everybody's prepared if we do get snow because everybody's loaded up with toilet paper, eggs, and bread. So I think everybody will be fine. So,
you know what? I got a store for toilet paper.
You do?
Right? Yeah. And I've been, I had to borrow some from a certain area.
Really?
So I had some toilet paper. I'm actually going to bring it back because I don't want no part of it. I don't need it. So I'm going to bring it back. Okay. I'm going to bring it back to its rightful owner.
The ill-gotten toilet paper will be returned. Yeah. You're a good Samaritan.
There you go. So I have enough down in my basement now that like all this was going on, I would go to the store. I would just hoard stuff, not hoard, but just buy extra stuff.
Yeah.
So I got like 8 packages of toilet paper downstairs. I cannot find the butt wipes I like. Okay, I got the quilted ones that you would use to like clean a steamroller with. I hate those. Okay, it's like wiping your ass with a fucking fabric softener sheet. Hate them. Then I got these little ones, these little Cottonelle wipes that are just a little too small. So, you know, one wrong slip, you're dragging a finger through Mud Valley, and we don't need that. We don't need that.
Nobody needs that.
Nobody needs that.
I'm not, just for that, I will not be sleeping tonight just with that thought process, but that's okay. You've kept me up.
Personally,
yes,
I like the CVS brand.
You do?
Yes, they're the best ones that you can get. They're just thick enough. They're just thin enough. They're just big enough. They're just small enough. They're the best ones. I'm down to 1 pack left.
Your recommendation of butt wipes, it goes the same as Nikki's recommendation on alcohol. Means nothing.
I'm telling you, if you're using butt wipes and you're not using CVS butt wipes, then you're not living.
Well, let's hope that CVS is listening, and maybe you'll get you an endorsement. You can do a little promo every week for CVS butt wipes.
I'm gonna have to go online and see if I can order CVS butt wipes. I can get butt wipes. That I can get.
Just not CVS.
It's just not CVS ones, man, and that bothers me. That's bothers me.
I see that. I see that. Well, listen, I hope you get some. I'll have to take a look at the CVS out here. If I can nail them down, I'll be happy to bring them out to you.
That and zinc. I'm looking for zinc because I've been taking all of these medications. You know, vitamin C and zinc. I got enough vitamin C. The coronavirus could come by 3 times a year. I'll laugh. If vitamin C stop, I laugh at you, coronavirus. I got to have about 490,000 milligrams of fucking vitamin C in my house.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, listen.
Well, if anybody's out there, if you see any CVS butt wipes or zinc tablets, please reach out to my good friend Jeff Tolwinski. He's anxious to get his hands on both. Especially the butt wipes, and make sure they're extra wide because we don't want them dragging a finger through Mudville.
It's like rolling papers. They're double wide. You know, fucking flip them over. They're fucking awesome. Yeah, you know, and yeah, they fit perfectly. It makes you want to go to the bathroom more.
Richie, when you download this video, you have to do something with the end of this. You're gonna have to put this in the promotional video. There's no other choice. Jeff promoting butt wipes. We're gonna have to do something.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I'll fucking sign up right now, man. Endorse. Let me get endorsed by Butt Wipes. Hard Rockin' Sports in conjunction with Hard Rockin' Sports and CVS brand Butt Wipes.
I'm absolutely going to send an email to CVS and let them know that you are promoting their butt wipes and see what happens. Maybe you get a lifetime supply. Who knows? At the very least.
Awesome. That would be fucking awesome.
Well, we're looking forward to the ventures on Facebook of your deeds in the backyard, and let us know if the plants survive. Also, let's send a big shout out to all the moms out there. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. Mrs. T, Jeff's beautiful, wonderful mom. My mom. I'll see you on Sunday, but happy Mother's Day, and to all the moms out there.
Your mom's house, man.
Yeah, I've gone a couple times. I don't stay very long. I don't make any contact, but you know, they're up the block. I got to go see them once a week or so. I take a walk. I take a ride up there and I go say hello.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe this Saturday we're going to see if it's snowing or not.
I can't believe it's Mother's Day weekend. We're worried about a snowstorm. Can you imagine? Crazy. But guys, listen. Again, thanks to Nicky and for all his hard work. Thanks to Sam and everybody at Hard Rockin' Sports, all our sponsors and friends, everybody who listened tonight. And again, thanks to my good friend. And we had a great show tonight. This one flew by. Lots to get to next week. So come on back when Hard Rockin' Sports show returns next Thursday night, 6:30 to 9:30, right here on the Hard Rockin' Sports Network. Again, we'll be back on the live stream as well. Jeff, you got anything else you want to add before I play a certain thing?
No, you know what to do.
Here it comes.
Stages that moose, you know.
So when you're playing, you feel like a preserved moose on stage.
Yeah,
that's correct. So guys, please stay warm, stay out of the snow if it shows up. Happy Mother's Day to everybody again, and good luck to Jeff in his backyard. So for Jeff Towinski, Nick Marino, Sam Bone, myself, and everybody here at Hard Rockin' Sports to say goodnight. Thank you. Stay safe, and we'll see you back here next Thursday night, 6:30 to 9:30 on the Hard Rockin' Sports Show. Thanks, Hefe.
Later, man.
Later, man. And the broadcast.